I just did the same. We're back. Hopefully it's not. I wish it would just start back up the other one. I don't like having multiple on the same, you know. So we're back live. Um, Hopefully we can get you guys back in here. Transfer over. Sorry about that. It's super lame.
It's a bunch of crap.
It's a bunch of crap.
So I'm trying to find it. That's what. I think we should put extended because that way, because it keeps the old one up for too long.
But just delete. Are you signed into mine or no?
No.
Well, I was gonna say you could just delete that one.
There we go. Okay, I think I found it. Whew, Jesus, Smitty. Unbelievable. We got Craig Mason's Reasonable Conversation channel says we got Scorpion.
Yeah, Scorpion.
JOG, you are not late. It's just our internet is tripping.
Yeah, we're having just problems with the gang.
It's just an interesting day, bro. Like when the devil gets busy, the devil gets busy.
Yeah.
Sunbake is in the chat. Says hello.
What's cracking, Sunbake? I like my sunbaked cookies and sunbaked.
I like my
chips.
women sunbaked.
I like my cheeks sunbaked. But no, I want to keep the conversation going, man, and I want to keep it about identity. And if you guys call in, because I want to hear where you guys get your identity from and what your perception on identity is. Because it seems like these days there's a huge issue with people and their identity, right? They have to get their identity from something else outside as opposed to within. So call in 818-308-5559.
Yeah, like what we're really dealing with is it is a spiritual battle, and it doesn't mean that you're not going to have physical manifestations. People who are working for that spirit could hurt you. We've seen it with the riot, but you have to have those eyes to tell if the people you are dealing with, and it's most likely because most of the world is fallen. Can you see their spirit? And it's not that I don't trust anybody, but it is. I don't trust anybody because I need to know the spirit.
What's the point of trusting anybody?
Yeah.
For what? All that is making you have an expectation.
Right. You're making them in some way your leader, when all you should do is just see them for who they are. And the only one I should trust, the only one I do trust is God.
Right.
And God will let me see what their intentions are, what their spirit, where they're operating from. And like what he experienced, usually they'll give themselves away. They'll pull the mask off and show you because they'll try to manipulate you and shame you just for sharing your opinion.
And they set you up. They like prop you up with a question or some sort of way so they can come try to knock you down. And they're either aware of it or they're just so far gone that they're not even aware of themselves. Because it all comes back to the identity, man. And a lot of people they get their identity and got their identity from the way they were raised and the way their parents imposed onto them. And they don't even know that they're operating through the identity of their parents. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It's just funny, like how he had that one friend, and I've had it too, where they just, it's a guy you know for years, and then all of a sudden he starts pulling out the same little tricks and traps that your girlfriend pulls out.
Yeah, like
it's such a womanly thing to do.
It is, because it's in a woman's nature to be more emotional.
Andreas McNeil.
Andreas,
come on, McNeil. Welcome, McNeil.
Yo,
what's cracking, bro?
Not much, man. I don't know. You brought up the topic of where you get your identity from.
Yeah.
Can you speak up a little bit, Andreas? It's a little low on our side.
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's better.
Better.
Awesome. So, the other night, I was speaking with one of my coworkers, and we were talking about a long conversation. This was towards like the end of the shift, and we didn't have too much to do. But I was talking with her, and we were talking about the whole George Floyd and this, that, and the third, and just my take on it. And then, like, just out of the blue, I just said, well, I love being black. But it's like, just waking up, there was something in me. I don't know what it was. I'm not going to call it. I'm not going to judge. There was something in me that said, like, why are you saying that? Like that doesn't even matter.
Is this is the homie
like,
this is the homie from church, right?
Andreas?
Yeah.
I recognize your voice, bro. What's up, man?
What's happening then?
I'm glad, dude. I'm glad that you connected with us, man. Because I've been meaning to get your information. Because I could tell, man. Like, I got a no homo. I have a connection, man. Like whenever I see you, like I don't know.
I wanna hold your hand.
There's certain people that kind of just like you look at and you just want to laugh, and those have always been like the people that are always like my best friends, or like like it's because there's something But I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm glad that I know it's you, man. What's cracking? Go ahead.
Hey.
How's it feel? How does it feel to know that we like you so much?
Yeah, that was a bromance right there. So you were talking.
I don't feel too much nowadays, so.
That's good. And it feels great. So you thought to yourself that you thought I love being black, right? I love being black, but then something told you like, you questioned that or something, right?
Yeah, it wasn't like me like responding to that thought.
Yeah.
But I've noticed the distance between me like who I am, and the being that said that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I don't mean to get too like, I don't know.
No, I get what you mean, man. I mean, you know what I think? It's like, if you don't have love is the absence of hate, right? So if you accept things as they are, and you think you love being black, is because you don't hate being black. And a lot of I feel like I understand you, because a lot of people nowadays are promoting that like being black is a burden, right? By hearing all the time that being white is privilege and stuff, that's suggesting that being black or anything other than white is a burden, and you don't hate yourself. You don't hate being black. So all that's left is love, right?
No.
Sorry, go ahead.
It is what it is. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And I'm gonna roll with it. I'm gonna just be a living being. Like,
right.
I'm in a black body. I got black skin. I got coarse hair. Like,
right.
That's a being, but I shouldn't take my identity off of that.
Exactly.
Right.
And I feel like, especially people that, listen to what Jesse and you guys are saying, it's like when we talk about different people, specifically the black people, and how they are at this point leading the way to destruction. But it's not to say that I personally don't recognize that black people, like, I don't know, just as far as being the athletes, the music entrepreneur or pioneers and stuff like that, like that's really appreciated. But it's like, I feel like in society these days, identity plays so much of a big part, and it's almost as if like, whose ship are you on?
Right.
And it's like, you're gonna go down with whatever ship you are on.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And I feel like too many people are willing to die on ships that have, big gaping holes in them, or had cannonballs like hurled at them. Like, people are too willing to die on those type of ships, when there's really only one true ship that you can really rely on to guide you through life.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating because, like after you wake up and you see things for what they are. Like you said, you just realize that, I can observe that I'm in this kind of body. I can see my skin color.
It's like your car.
I can be aware of it, and I can say I love it, but I'm not into it. I can speak up and defend people who look like me when it's appropriate to defend them. I don't defend them just because they look like me.
Right, you stand up for the truth and against the lie.
I'll defend a black man if he's being mob attacked by anybody. Because even if he's my enemy, even if it's a Black Lives Matter guy getting his butt beat, if it's excessive, it's excessive.
And I agree, man. And the problem, I think, is that identity thing. Is that, like, if you most blacks, I notice that if they hear any criticism about black culture in general, they take offense to it because they attach themselves to that identity of it. When I'm not talking about any individual, you know, like someone specifically. I'm talking about as a whole. If you look at a whole, just like you could say, oh, most white people have no rhythm and can't dance. I'm not including myself in that. I'm gonna be like, hey man, that's not true. You know, like I'm not gonna defend it because I know that talking about white people is not talking about me. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, and it's just so crazy. I didn't get to watch the radio show, Jesse's radio show earlier today, but did you guys see that video that he put out about that white man? I think he was like 32 years old. His name was Tony or something like that. He got killed by cops in the exact same way. And
Oh, Tony Tempa.
Like 3-4 years ago.
Yeah, I was sharing that before.
Yeah,
Tony Tempa.
And nobody said anything.
Nobody.
White people didn't go out in March. They didn't say White Lives Matter.
Right.
They didn't burn down.
Where's CNN? Where's you know, all these celebrities? Where's Ice Cube talking about police brutality against white people? And actually, if you go back further, I was sharing one. The original "I Can't Breathe" was a young man named Kelly Thomas. Is a white guy out here in California. He got killed in Fullerton. They thought he looked like a suspect, so they did what anyone would do, which is not wrong to stop you. A cop, if you look like somebody that they're looking for, hey, let them verify you're not. So he was following along, but the cops were overly aggressive, and you can observe that they were coming off way too strong, and then that spirit pulled Kelly in, then Kelly got defensive, and I was like, yo, back off, man. So I could see why, but they were both wrong, but you can see how that aggressiveness from the cop instigated it. They ended up beating him like 5 or 6 on 1, and he died like 5 days later, and nothing. There was no marches, no riots, no shutdowns.
And that's the thing that you know, I of course, if someone says, do Black Lives Matter, of course they matter. I stand behind that.
Yeah.
But the thing is it's the imbalance. Like when you look at the statistics and you see like in Chicago and other places where the crime is, where Black lives seem to only matter when it's a white person against a black person, and that's the thing that is like, it's racially motivated.
Black lives only matter. Black lives only matter when it's somebody that can get ahead of talking about it.
It's used in manipulation, man. And
it's a shakedown. They use it for extortion. Yeah. It's all about shaking money out of people's pockets, and like just like they're doing now, like they're not gonna. This is a mob. Like, doesn't matter what you give them, they're not gonna be satisfied. Like, what is destroying white American heritage and statues and monuments and museums? What does that have to do with justice?
Like Hot Computer Smell said, you look at the statues; those don't represent that you're proud. It means that we can see how far we've come. You know, the lens we look through. It's like, I personally don't care about statues or anything like that. But to have that anger and hatred and pull it down and throw it, and it's like something else inside of you, man. Like you don't have to see those types of things of looking at a statue, because you could see like, wow, look how far we've come. That's in our history, and we overcame that.
And it's like the more and more I just walk around, I see, and there are days where I don't do the silent prayer. There are days where I'm in my head, more than I should be, and I believe my thoughts more than I should. But just by waking up and just walking around and seeing that the Old Testament is here, like it's around you. It's not within you anymore, but it's around you. You can just see it. Because that's something that people would do in the Old Testament. They would destroy statues that didn't represent God, or they would worship these things and sacrifice these things to the God that they wanted to sacrifice it to. But it's like, when you're living in the New Testament, your sacrifices are, my voice cracked, your sacrifices are essentially your emotions, your hatred, your bitterness towards things.
Yeah, dude. Exactly. And it's interesting because like on like Facebook, right? All my friends on Facebook are usually the industry people and that I've made connections with over the years, so I don't have any really awake people on there much. There's a couple, but not many. And I post stuff about the root, which is good and evil, and that I only have love and I don't have hatred and anger. And people come on there and pick a fight out of that. They'll say that like I think having anger is natural, and if you're not angry and hate racist people, then you're against us. And I try to explain like I don't have hatred and I don't have to hate evil. I don't accept evil. But having hatred is evil. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't have hate in my heart, so I can't resonate with that. And they try to like manipulate it to where they're trying to get me. You know, and that's that spirit that I can see. It's like they're not being reasonable. They're not accepting, hearing what I'm really saying. Like I'm saying, I'm all love and I love everybody, right? And it's like if you say all lives matter, that means that you say black lives don't matter. It's not true.
Yeah, it's like
exactly.
something like more like fun is like the flat Earth thing. Like it like something like as silly as that. You know, I could say, oh, I believe in it. And like Jesse loves to like joke about it at church, and I love joking about it with him. But it's funny because it brings out the few little trolls in people who just like they don't care, they don't really care about your opinion. What they care about is trying to make fun of you and
It's
shame
an
you.
opportunity to
Like,
feel
oh
better.
yeah, let me just like haha and like force chuckle, and it just shows like that's the spirit we're dealing with. They don't really care about hearing your side, and they don't even have to hear my side. But that spirit just wants to play with you. It just wants to mess with you and torture you, and it has nothing productive to offer.
Oh no, not at all. And it's, I don't know, man. Evil just turns in on itself, you know, and whatever it can see to touch and destroy, it will. It will try it for it. I don't know. These times are so fun, man. These just such fun times.
So
You can,
Andreas,
like, really
since you've woken up and since you're black, have you already started to see friends fall away and accuse you, kind of what Trevor's experience and what I've gone through, where you have like this exodus of people who just, I thought I knew you, man, but I can't support this racism. Have you had that happen yet?
I've had that more or less. Not really with family, because I mean, there was that experience with the hat, but I mean, I pretty much like prompted that, but there wasn't like, because to be honest, I was more like a black sheep growing up to begin with. I was always pretty much a loner, and I always did things like I could go out and I could do things with people, but I was never really like the person that, oh, Andreas hangs with this group or Andreas hangs with that group. Like more
Yeah, same
than
here,
not,
man. Same here. Out in like high school, I would hang out. I hung out with everybody, man. I'd go from lunch table to lunch table to lunch table.
Yeah.
I didn't sit at one table and attach myself to one group. I hung out with everybody. Same here.
It's pretty much that same vibe. So as far as like friends, like I told some of my frat brothers in college that I support Trump, and I went to a HBCU, so it's like all black people, and it might as well be like an all black California school, man, liberal to the max, man.
Oh yeah, that's all they do. So
I could just imagine what they thought of when especially this George Floyd thing, you know, went down and everything. But
it's funny.
But
like,
as far as like friends, like turning on me in that way, I haven't had that happen.
Are you being very vocal about it? Like, are you like saying your opinion, or are you keeping it to yourself?
When I have to, and when the opportunity is there, I'm not gonna like just post on Facebook every single day for every single stream, Trump this, Trump that, Trump that.
But your silence is.
I think that
your silence is violence.
Your silence is violence, bro. If you're not saying and speaking up, then you're part of the problem.
Oh no! I'm speaking up when I have to.
I'm joking, man.
There, but I'm not.
I'm just joking. You know, like I'm talking. That's how they act. The people that are angry act. It's like if you don't say anything, then you're not standing with us.
Yeah, silence is violence. But if you're not black, then you can't speak on the black experience. So like, shut up, but speak up. It's weird.
Yeah, it's weird.
That's dumb. No, alright. So, oh my God, I was out last night. Horrible decision, by the way. As a side note, I woke up and like normally I'd rather be hungover than just like deprived of sleep. But I was deprived of sleep and like couldn't function for like 6 hours when I woke up. It was a mess. But last night I went to a bar and I was just sitting there waiting on some people I was meeting up with. And I started talking with this dude. Get his name. Like, no, never mind. I was talking with this dude, and like we were talking. We have some good like talking points and stuff like that. Like 'cause I was gardening in college, and he gardens now, so we kind of struck a conversation on that. But then he just started talking about like being in one city, because one city is like much more like well off than another city. And so he's like, yeah, all the rich, racist white people. I'm like, whoa. I had to pull the plug on that, man. And the bartender that we were like, because we were like right at the bartender, she was white, and I don't know if she heard our conversation. I was like, bro, like you can't, like that's not true. And then I just like broke his whole argument down with just facts. Like, it's not racism, bro.
It's not.
And it's like, and he's saying, oh, well, California is so expensive because of rich, racist white people. I'm like, wait, hold on. That's completely false. And I just broke it down. Like, if you're gonna have like a whole bunch of people, a big population of people continuously coming in one state, like it's gonna be much more expensive to live in that state.
Yeah.
Like everything's gonna go up.
Exactly.
I just broke down
economics.
Economics, but he's like, nah, man, it's white people, and he Mexican.
Of course. And that's the problem, is like that's why that word, like I don't entertain that word at all, bro. Like it is not a real word. And it's the same thing why you shouldn't entertain.
I'm sorry to say that on your show, man. I don't want I don't want to trip the algorithm, man. I apologize.
Don't worry about it. I mean, the point is, it's not a real word. It's a spell word, and they use that to control us. It's used to shame whites into silence, and it's used to stoke anger in blacks and minorities. But it's a magic word, and if we just stop acknowledging it, I don't play that game, because guess what? Of course, someone who disagrees with you, if we speak up the way we're speaking up, they're gonna call you that. And if you spend just even half a breath trying to defend that, you lose. You just don't defend it, because I know I don't hate based on race. You know, so it's very just interesting how, you know, even the people who think they're awake still defend themselves.
That's why white people are out, kissing feet and washing feet and getting on their knees and apologizing, because they're so afraid of being called racist. They'll do anything to be not called racist.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind how they give a word such power. And it shows you how out of tune they are with themselves. Like, if you know yourself or know what you're not and what you are, it doesn't matter what anyone says about you or thinks about you. Like, it doesn't define me. You know, I'm not going to question myself because someone thinks something of me. It's insane.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. I just think about it, like, although like we have all these immigrants coming in, all these illegal aliens coming in, we got black pumping out babies up the wazoo, Mexicans too. White people are still the majority in America.
Yeah.
And like just thinking about how whites are pretty much not all, but most are like whipped into thinking that they have to cater towards everybody else. It's like, you all ever heard of that analogy about the elephant in the cage, and like the cage is like has like electrified and stuff like that, so the elephant won't go past it. But like even when it grows up to be like a fully adult, like full elephant, like just based on like the trauma that's had before, like it still can't go past it.
Yeah.
And it's like white people that are so afraid of being, even though that elephant has a full like power and force and thrust to just bust it down and then just go free, it still won't.
Right. Yeah. That's the power of fear. Like, you can't have a drop of fear.
They're paralyzed.
Built this country, man.
They're paralyzed from fear, bro. For sure. And I know what that used to feel like, and I wasn't even aware of it. I just wanted so bad for people to like me, wanted to think, that I wasn't racist. And, people be like, what's up, white boy? What's up, white boy? And it didn't bother me because I never took offense to it. But, like, I wasn't walking around saying, what's up, black boy? I didn't do that. If I did that, it would be racist. And so, like, looking back, it's like, I'll treat people equally, you know what I mean? And now I'm standing up, man. I'm kicking that electric fence down, man.
Exactly. Like, that's, like, like, I'm not full white. I'm mixed heritage. But if you can't acknowledge, like what you said, that white people built this country, it was their culture that created the greatest country on earth, and that if we actually care about those values and maintaining this, then we should stand with them and encourage them to wake up, like the way Jesse is doing. He's not pandering to them. He just knows, like, hey, this is your country. You guys built it. If you give it up, it won't be the America that we know. It'll be some third world country.
And it's anybody's country who's an American. If you're a black American, it's your country too. We should be thankful and that we're blessed here. Like, people don't realize how good we have it here, man. There's third world countries out there that are horrible. We could have been there, man. You know, it's like anybody could have been born as anybody, and we got to be born here. And it's like, I don't have pride in this in my skin color and be like, yeah, you know, my ancestors built the country. You know, I don't even care about that. All I know is I'm here now, and I want to help protect the freedoms we have left. You know, that's it. I'm just grateful, bro.
And it's like, it's just so crazy. People used to get mad when you just like make up your own game, and then people used to come in your game and then change the rules that you made to the game. People used to get so mad about that. But it's like, when you think about America, you think about the principles and the values that were laid down in order for you to have the life that you have now. And it's like, people are just so willing to give that up. And it's just so counterintuitive. Like the principle of innocent before proven guilty. The principle of, you know, hard work, of earning your share, paving your way, doing to others as you have them do unto you. That's the American way. And
right.
We got a whole bunch of people that are coming in and taking these offices that are saying, oh no, we gotta give everything to the poor that won't work, and we gotta honor the criminals. We have to make way for people that, you know, don't have a right to be here. It's like, wait, hold on. That's making it hard for the people that are already here, that are already, you know, doing what's right by the country.
Exactly.
Yeah, and these white weak people are really evil, because if you break it down, man, they're more afraid of being called racist than they are of being able to speak up and say the truth and tell and empower people about their own lives. They'd rather kiss feet, say, oh, I'm sorry, I acknowledge my white privilege, because they're afraid, than they would rather speak up and say the truth and say something that is going to empower someone to be able to check themselves and be like, man, that's true. I have the power of my own life to make my life whatever it is that I want to make it. You know,
you should love. They love the world too much, and they're so scared of losing it. You can't love the. I can care less about the world. Like, you gotta transcend that. And when you actually have that distance that we're supposed to have, you realize it is nothing in this world that is worth you ever taking a knee on any of this stuff. It doesn't mean that you just speak out all the time and just yap. You know, it is about less yapping, but you'll speak out in the right way at the right time with the right people.
And is there anything in particular that stands out to you about that George Floyd incident that suggests to you that it was racist?
No.
That's what I'm trying to figure out, where the evidence of it is. I know that the cop was white and the guy was black, but where's the racism?
Nothing about it. Was, first of all, the whole stigma of police brutality towards blacks is so asinine. It's so unfounded. It's so just not real. There's 44 million blacks in America, and last year only 9 were killed by police brutality.
Right.
Out of 44 million.
And if you tell people, you could tell people that, and they don't want to hear it. They still don't care. They like, you could tell them facts and statistics. They'll be like, oh, that's fake.
And again, I'm with the president on this when he said explicitly that one life lost. This is with his reference to the coronavirus, but it still applies here. One life lost due to police brutality is a tragedy in and of itself, and there's no excuse for that. You know what I'm saying? But
yeah.
I mean, just think about those numbers. If I were to tell everybody that you have a 9 out of 44 million chance to win the lottery, not too many people will play.
Yeah.
If you actually drew that 44 million out and then just put a 9 over it with a dash, nobody would play, because they understand how minuscule that is.
Yeah.
But it's like you got got people nowadays that are so ready, so opportunistic for to just
you saw
make
that
happen,
story.
and you see it.
You saw that story in Chicago that, you know, like you said, look at the stats. How many blacks die in unarmed confrontation with cops? And when you look at it, I think it's like 2 or 3 in this last year were deemed unjustified, and the cops did time and got sentenced. When on the other hand, they ignore the fact that like just the other day we had 24 people die in 24 or like something like 18 or 20 people die in 24 hours. It's like one person an hour in Chicago. They don't care, and like people just don't understand how they're just being told when to be outraged, and they're just totally brainwashed, just a bunch of sheep.
Yeah, just the whole like, just how the establishment is falling, how like white people are kissing feet and washing feet, and how the cops are taking the knee and stuff like that. I don't know what's worse, watching that or 2 girls in 1 cup. To be honest with you, man. When I saw all those videos, there was just one point where I had to turn it off and turn away, man. All of them, because it's all just bad, man.
Yeah, man. It goes to show you how true it is that we are a product of our influences. You know, like I don't watch TV, I don't watch the news. You know, like it's all influence to try to make us feel a certain way and divide us and to intellectually stimulate us into believing certain things. And at the end of the day, it's like I still stay informed because I follow a lot of people on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, and different people that are, you know, searching for the truth, the news and stuff. I still get information, but I'm not getting it delivered to me by the news and their manipulative, sneaky way of trying to deliver it, you know?
Yeah.
I know that I'm a product of my influences, so I protect my influence, you know? I don't want to hang out with hateful, angry people. Then it'll start to justify, make me, you know, you become what you're around, you know, like not all the time, but it's so much easier to have it happen. So I'm trying to just, you know, hang out with people that get it, that aren't angry and that love what's right. And it's like whatever race that is, that's who I'm hanging with.
Hey, Andrew.
And I appreciate you all opening up this forum, this space for, you know, us all to, you know, just come together and just talk about these things, because it's few and far between, man.
Yeah,
and
man.
I felt
why.
pretty much sheltered. I felt pretty much like sheltered away from all the chaos and stuff, because like I've been able to just preoccupy my mind with working and stuff like that. I have a little bit more free time now, just because different things happening at my job that I don't really want to get into. And so like I just see, like you know how like if you have blinders on and you're able to focus on one thing, but once those blinders start to fade out, you see all that there is. It's like, wow, like all this is here. Last night was the first night I went out in about a year.
Yeah.
Damn.
I was gonna ask you, what bar was open? I thought they were all closed.
Oh no, the bar is opening up. They opening up.
Oh, the bar's opening up.
Yeah. True. And honestly, they opened up to like the regular bar-ish hours. Like there was one bar we went to that was open till about 1, and another one that was open till about 2 o'clock in the morning. So, and no mask.
That's what's up, man. I'm still like, you know, like I'm not into going out like that anymore, anyways, and especially with all these people that are exposing their hatred and anger and stuff like that. Like, I know that all I can control is myself, right? And but that also means that I gotta protect, man, because it's like I know if I go out, you never know what someone else is gonna do. Like I know that I stay in some way or another armed in being able to protect myself, but these people that are angry and stuff, they come out in mobs. You know what I'm saying? Like you could be jumped, whatever, like attacked, especially because I'm speaking out and stuff like that. Like if I say, you know, I'm gonna do a show, or if I say I'm gonna, you know, go out here or there, if I show up somewhere, I don't know who's following and who's gonna come try and pull something on me.
Yeah, angry people are just crazy. Like you have to be aware, and I think this whole pandemic, this whole George Floyd stuff, it just really drove it home that the most people around you, almost everybody around you, is dead asleep, and it doesn't matter if they're violent or not. But when they're asleep, they can turn on you, and the real minority are actual Christians who are awake.
Right. And you know, I said on Facebook today, I was like, I'm done debating. I don't. At the end of the day, you either are awake and you get it, or you're asleep and Satan has your soul. Like, you know, like these conversations and debates are like, they're just energy suckers. Because people are committed to misunderstanding you, and they're not really having conversations to discover what you're thinking and to try to get somewhere together. It's because they just want to be right. They want to prove you wrong. They want to say you're racist. They want to make you, they want to control you somehow. So I'm like, I'm off it, man.
Yeah. Don't waste time with the devil.
Yeah, I'm going to speak up and say the truth, but that's it. That's how I think. Stop trying to persuade and turn me into whatever the world is turning into. That ain't me.
Are you married, Andreas?
Oh no.
Oh no!
Oh, no.
Man, I was at a bar.
Oh no. Nah, I gotta be right and just allow that to happen on its own. I'm pretty sure it's gonna happen, but I don't know. That's with God's time, but I'm done like trying to force the issue on it.
I'm in the same boat, man. I'm just living my life. I'm not trying to force it.
Living my best
You know,
life.
I don't wanna go try to, you know, force anything because of something I would feel like, you know, I want to have, because I don't know what I want until it's revealed and what God puts in my life. You know, I don't want to force it, especially when I, you know, like the older people, like my, you know, certain family members or friends that were married or are married or divorced or whatever, and they're in hell because they did it wrong, because they, you know, I don't want to be in hell, man, with a bunch of responsibilities of things that are irresponsible responsibilities that I'm
Oh, yeah.
that's gonna haunt me for the rest of my life.
Like, that's real
Having
hell.
kids with the wrong person, having, you know, all that stuff. It ain't worth it for me.
Yeah, and that's why you wait till marriage, man. Don't be in a rush.
Yeah.
Don't expect it,
The
because
right marriage.
woo, women will. I mean, they will unleash the 7 layers of hell upon you.
This world is too. Whew, last night was just such an eye opener. I wish I could just take what the images that are in my brain and then just put it on like a flat screen TV, y'all.
Put it on a little mini drive.
Yeah, it was just so interesting. It was so cool. I had some fun. I was playing this I keep forgetting what it's called. I was playing this one game with it's like a table with sand, and you have to throw like a puck across the table in order to score points.
Oh
I don't know
yeah,
what it's called.
like air hockey.
Yeah, I was playing that game. I was playing that, man. That was the most fun part of the night. When I was just out there and just observing and watching people and hearing people would talk about their stories and stuff like that. I'm like, oh no, I can't. This ain't me, man.
Well, man, hey, if I could, whenever I see you at church or if you're on social media or whatever, hit me up in inbox, man. So, you know, if you go out or we go out or something, we can kick it, man. Because I'm trying to, you know, have people in my life that are like-minded, and you know, like, it's like there's not that many of us out there, so I feel like we gotta stick together and try to influence other people to see what we're talking about. You know, not run around trying to preach to anybody, but you know what I'm saying. Like I still want to enjoy my life with people that are like-minded.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why we're doing this in the first place.
One of my that coworker that I was talking about earlier, where I had that conversation with,
The Mexican.
yeah, okay, so yeah, she Mexican. How do you know?
Speak up a little bit.
Hello?
Yep, gotcha.
Oh yeah. She Mexican. How you know?
Oh, you said it earlier. Said she's Mexican.
No. I was talking about the dude that was talking about that was when I was at the bar and I was talking about the dude.
Oh, okay.
And the dude.
Oh, that's just a good guess then.
Yeah.
She Mexican.
But no, she was like, okay, so if you know all this and you're confident in all this, why don't you build an organization? Why don't you become a leader? And it's like I knew the answer, but I didn't know the answer. You know what I'm saying? It didn't just come to me. But what I did say was that's not me. I'd rather be an example. know what I'm saying? As opposed to like, oh, I'm gonna build this school of thought, and we're gonna like, nah, that's not cool. And then I was thinking back on that conversation. I'm like, why do black people need leaders, man?
Exactly. It's because they've been trained.
Like, that's so weird.
They're trained not to think for themselves. They're trained to think as a group, even though as a group they don't even really like each other either.
It comes back to that identity, man. Like when you're born in generations of stories of what it's like to be somebody who's, you know, driven off getting your identity from your skin color. That's gonna change the lens you look through life at, you know, because there's plenty of black people I know like you, Joel, other friends that see eye to eye with what I'm talking about. So when other black people try to come at me and tell me that I'm insensitive and that I just don't know what it's like, well, then what about these guys? And they're called coons and Uncle Toms, and they're hated by their quote own people, you know?
Yeah, you're only black if you agree with the mob, but if you're a black man who believes in what's right, like Larry Elder or you or Jesse or Joel or Emmanuel, then you guys are just coons and Uncle Toms. It's amazing how they celebrate the criminal, but they dog the upstanding members of that community.
Because they identify with culture. So if you're the one that's educated or whatever, and you know, it's like, oh, that's too white.
Yeah,
I remember growing up, it was like that, or it was like, no, people wouldn't want to act white because it was like they would think that it was bad. Whatever white is.
They identify with their mama. That's what they identify with, man.
Yeah.
It's I don't know. There's so many like things that are becoming like clear, and yet now there's so many things that I gotta like go back to the drawing board on. You know, and this is amazing.
No, I agree.
So
I still have those revelations.
Because go ahead.
No, I agree. You said the drawing board, and I have those revelations all the time about things. Like I was thinking about family. I'm like, what is family?
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I was brought into the world and I had a caretaker, and you know, like, but we have this like idea of what family is based off of what we've learned from TV, and everything was programmed and imposed onto us, and it wasn't my idea. You know, it was an idea that it was imposed on me. So I really am resonating with family being the spirit, you know, like it's a certain connection with a spirit, man.
Yeah, not blood.
It has nothing, like, because some people are just so loyal to their blood or their culture or whatever it is when they're in hell. And it's like, is that your family? And if people are committed to that hatred or anger, it's like, you gotta separate yourself. But yeah.
Well, I mean, thanks for calling in, Andres.
Yeah,
are you gonna come to church this weekend?
No, I got work in the morning, and I get off at 11. I won't be there till about like 12:30.
Okay. Well, whenever you do make it out, or men's meeting, just let us know ahead of time. We'll hang out. Usually, after the men's meeting, we can go get some, sit down, get some coffee or some dinner before you roll back to the IE.
Well, yeah, you live kind of far.
Yeah, you know what? I'll make a way. It's no thing. My schedule is big, it's long, but it's flexible.
That's what she said.
That's what she said. Well, take care, bro. I appreciate you hanging out, man, and for calling in, bro.
Thank you, Andreas.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, y'all take it easy.
All right, man. Take care.
God bless. That's amazing. See, not all black people think alike.
Not all white people think alike.
Exactly.
A lot of these white liberals that are, get that bastard.
Yale sent a super chat.
Oh yeah.
Hot Computer Smell super chat.
Thank you guys. I appreciate that.
I have a feeling this is T Warrior. That's right. It's a man's world.
What's up, fellas?
What's up, T?
What's going on, T?
What's the word?
Not much, man.
Buffering.
Hey, I'm disappointed, man. Y'all don't have on your kente cloths, man.
Oh yeah. Hallelujah.
That's ridiculous. What's wrong with these people?
Bro, I left I left a comment because someone posted a picture of it, and I was like, Hillary Clinton's in the background, backstage with hot sauce on her bag, and Joe Biden was there. Joe Biden was there stamping people's hands, proving people who were black enough.
Yeah, you're black. You're not black.
I'm waiting for Joe Biden to show up on one of his strings with a do-rag and a couple of gold teeth.
Yeah, dude, it's amazing how they accuse everyone else like Trump of, oh, you're just doing photo ops. It's like, look at you idiots wearing a kente cloth.
The photo ops are like, oh, how dare you hold up a Bible and take a photo, and then they do that. It's like, you hypocrites.
See, I heard, that's what I heard that old beta, Amazing Lucas, talking about. Man, that's completely two different things, because when you talk about Christianity, which is under constant attack, I mean, I've never seen a president be as pro-Christian as Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, I heard Barack Obama quoting the Quran. You know, I heard him just straight up. And then whenever he talks about the Bible, it's always from a point of animus and a point of disdain for Christianity.
Yep.
I remember that when he said that America's not a Christian nation. You know, the dude's a Muslim, man. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, he admitted it on camera.
Yeah. And, all this ridiculous pandering, man, these people are so desperate. I mean, what are they going to do next? Have a mariachi band come out and, you know?
Exactly. And people, it's amazing that people can't see it and they fall for it. I'm like, are you being serious? Did you see the video of that girl that was actually from Africa talking about it, being like, this is what it really means?
Yeah, you're talking about the one who was saying that we're not oppressed and all that stuff?
Yeah, and she said that all the patterns and stuff mean different things, and that the specific patterns that Nancy and all them were of this tribe of Africans that were slave owners and oppressors.
Wow.
So it's so ironic, you know. They didn't even know their history on the culture that they were trying to act like they're representing.
Yeah, it's like, what's next? Are they gonna get their hair braided?
It's crazy to me how people jump to slavery, because, slavery happened such a long time ago. There's nobody alive that dealt with slavery, and people bring that up. Oh, we were slaves. You were never a slave. You still sleeping on your mama's couch.
Yeah, no, exactly. Just like the people that are Native American that say this land was our land and you stole it from us. It's like, what do you mean? Who's us? Like that was a long time ago. And are you suggesting that America should have never happened? That we should still be hanging out in teepees? And
don't speak for all Indian, because there are plenty of Indian tribes who were happy to join the Europeans because they were sick of the other Indians who were cannibalizing them and killing them.
Yeah.
And everyone acts like they're just all a bunch of peace-loving hippies.
And they say that white people just thought of Indians as savages, and it's like, how dare these white people? You don't just get an idea out of nowhere. You know what I'm saying?
A lot of them were savages.
Like, exactly. Like, everybody was hurting everybody at that time, and it was a war. They won a war.
Yeah. And they lost. Thank God.
It's funny how it's always painted that wherever white people went, they just took over. When it wasn't like that. It was like people were selling each other out. They didn't care. They were like, oh, y'all want this tribe? Here, we kidnapped them. Here, we're selling them. I mean, black people own slaves in America.
Exactly.
Like we mentioned a few shows back, the
and they still do in
Indians
Africa.
had slaves.
Yep. One of the first slaveholders in the U.S. was black. The blacks still run slavery to this day, alongside the Arabs. And it's like, you look at Libya, they're selling black people right now. Open air slave markets right now. And it was all done because
no one talks about that.
Yeah, all under Obama's leadership and Hillary Clinton. They created a slave market. And where's Black Lives Matter on that? Where's Ice Cube on that?
They don't care. They don't even care, man. All they want is free stuff, dude.
Exactly.
They want people to bow down to them and give them free stuff. They don't want to put any effort into living or into being successful or even trying. They find these few examples of what they call somebody being disenfranchised, and then they cling to that. And, I think you mentioned this earlier, how every time they pick some sort of martyr for Black Lives Matter is always somebody that's a criminal or somebody that was involved
Yep.
with the police in some negative
Always.
fashion.
Always.
I mean, Philando Castile, what's the kid's name? Tamir Rice. Everybody brings that up, and I'm like, if you listen to the narrative, you would think the police were just riding down the street. Oh, look, a little black kid, let's shoot him, you know?
Exactly.
But the police were called because this kid was at the park pointing a realistic-looking gun at people.
Exactly.
A big kid too that looked like an adult. He wasn't, you know. And they always say young man. This kid, like they
Yeah.
called George Floyd
George
a young
Floyd,
man.
a young
He's
man.
like 50.
Just a young man.
Yeah, because George Floyd, he was such an innocent guy, you know. He was upstanding. See, I know y'all heard the report about him pointing the gun at the pregnant woman's stomach.
Yep.
But what y'all are missing, and this is the narrative that everybody's missing about Mr. Floyd. See, Mr. Floyd was very much into target practice, right? And so he had his firearm, and he wanted to aim it at a target which was available, which was the lady's stomach. See, that's what y'all are missing. See, the white man just wants to hold George Floyd back. He was just trying to practice using his weapon, you know? I mean, it's just crazy. Like, you have a guy who punched an old lady, took her purse. But what y'all don't understand, this brother had desires to work at the airport to be a luggage carrier. You see? And all he was doing was practicing his art on the old lady's purse. But the white man wanted to come and shoot him and rough him up.
Exactly.
You know?
And Ahmaud Arbery was just trying to pursue his passion and dream of becoming a general contractor. So that's the only reason why he was trespassing for several months.
You just sounded like that guy from Don't Be a Menace. He's like, y'all gotta stop using the word. He's all, cause it's the white man uses the word to make it. What does he say? Cause it's like it's the white man that uses these terms over another race. He's all, remember to tell that Chinese mother up the street.
Yeah.
I forgot what that was. It's funny.
Remember they had my man Farrah Convict in the cell. He was supposed to be a Muslim, but he's in there cooking bacon.
Yeah. George Floyd was just trying to get into UCLA. That's all.
Yeah, he was an innocent guy. You could tell by the gold casket. See, the gold casket shows how upstanding he was. See, that's what y'all don't get. The fact that Al Sharpton was there, that shows you how good of a guy George Floyd was. Just because he had meth and fentanyl in his system, see, what y'all don't get is he was using himself to test those drugs so he could harm other people.
He was protesting the drugs in the community by taking all of them at once.
That's it, man. See, and then he's forging a check. Another thing, he was trying to go into doing accounting when he forged that check. He was practicing going into the field of accounting. But that's what people miss about this guy. That's why he's such an upstanding guy. And they're gonna name streets after him.
Isn't it crazy? Because like I'm not a father, but I don't believe you need to be one to know what you would tell your kid if you were raising them right. I'm sure you wouldn't tell your son, because he's Latino. If he does something wrong, you're not gonna say, son, don't worry, it's not your problem. It's the white man's fault. That's why you stole that candy. So don't worry about it. If you steal it, just blame it on Whitey.
I wouldn't dare say no stupid crap like that. When you teach somebody not to have accountability for their own actions, that just opens the door for them to do anything, man.
Exactly.
There's no accountability. Even that serial killer, Jeffrey Dahmer, he said the same thing. He said the fact that he was raised believing that there was no God, he felt that he didn't have to be accountable for any of his actions.
Mm-hmm.
So it made it easier for him to do those things that he did.
Exactly.
And it's the same thing. When you raise a kid and everything is somebody else's fault, the reason why that happened is because of this. And they said, you have ADHD and you have... Dude, when I was in school, there was no such thing as ADHD.
Yep.
No such thing. They were like, sit your butt down or we calling your mama.
Exactly.
That was it.
Or go run it off. Go do a few laps.
Yeah. Well, no ADHD and take these drugs.
Do you know what they found? Do you know what they found in Jeffrey Dahmer's bathroom?
What's that?
Head and Shoulders.
Man, it's something. Yeah, I'm using that, man. Yeah, I was having a conversation with this guy at work the other day, and he told me I didn't act black. And I said, what do you mean I don't act black? And he said, well, you know. I said, well, how do black? What does it mean to act black? Explain it to me. He said, well, you know, thug, gangster, you know. I said, so to you, black means being a thug and a gangster? And he was like, no, I'm not saying all black people. I said, but you just said that. That's your description of being black, right? And so he kind of fizzled off and didn't really answer that. And then later on, I'm talking to another guy about some historical things, and he said, see, there you go, acting white. And I said, wait a second. So to you, being black means being a thug, and being white means being intelligent? And the other guy chimed in and said, hey, now that's racist.
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about with the identity stuff. Is that, you know, like when you're so caught up in your identity and you think that you're taking on the identity of someone else, whatever that is, then you like repel against it. Like, because I think, you know, because black community sticks together for the most part, not all, but most, in their culture and everything like that. And I've seen that before too, where like they want to be anything but white, right? Even as like a musician and a singer and stuff like that. Like, I get called out by black people, like, man, you're so white, at certain times, like it was a put down.
Yeah. You know, you said that black people are close, but, bro, that's the facade. Black people are not, never really been that close, man. They probably were, like, back in the day during Jesse time. But, man, black people had this, what they call the crab in the barrel mentality. Mm-hmm. Like, say, if a black person was to go to the ghetto and try to set up a business, right? He would get less support than somebody of another race would. Like, if you go, you'll notice a lot of Arabs or Indians or Koreans. They have little shops in the ghetto. And these people don't even like black people, but they surely love that green money. Yeah. But if somebody black tries to set up over there in a black neighborhood, they won't get that love from the black people. You know, they'll be like, oh, man, ain't nobody gonna go over there to your little barbecue shop. Dude will probably get robbed every other week. You know,
exactly.
Just being there in the neighborhood.
And then they also ask for like every time like black people just assume that just because the business owner's black and they're black, they're like hook it up. It's like, and I've heard that from friends who own businesses or entrepreneurs. They're like, man, like the only people who are always trying to hustle me for free stuff are black people, and you know it's like just because they share the same skin color, they feel like they can disrespect them and try and get free stuff and. It's like the complete opposite of support. They just, like you said, tear you down. It's like
asking the weed dealer, like, hey, man, can I get a hookup, man? I got dreads, bro. I'm Jamaican.
Yep. I mean, really, though, that's 100% true, man. And especially if it's somebody that they know. They'll see the person that they know, you know, build their business from the ground up. And they assume, since I know this person, they're obligated to let me get free things from them. So instead of them saying, hey, how can I contribute to what you're doing, or how can I do it myself? No, it's like, hey, man, we grew up together, man. Hook me up with a couple of bags of chips and something, you know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. I mean, it's just something that's been ingrained in a lot of people for the last 40, 50 years to not try and to look down on people who do try and who do succeed.
Exactly. It's like you said, it's a terrible mentality, and they have this false sense of family and community, and they are their own worst enemies. Like it's just like this one pastor. I think his name's Pastor Manning, and I shared his video, and he went hard. Like, you know, he still had that kind of Baptist like, God, what's wrong with you black people? You ain't built nothing, and like he went in. But it's the truth. He's talking about like just look at Africa today. Like you've had all these years. And you can't blame it on white people anymore. It's like there's something wrong with the spirit. You know, like, and if you don't tackle that, it doesn't matter what anyone else does. You're just never going to overcome it.
Yeah, I still want to overcome and become powerful in my own life as a man because I got to you know, all the bad habits I had and the way I saw in my life before, I got to reverse engineer that. Like, you know, it's like at the piano. If you learn how to play the piano wrong, when you go get a piano teacher that teaches you how to do it right, you don't start from zero. You got to move backwards to figure out undo what you did wrong so that you can start fresh. You know, it's more work to undo the wrong that you did. So that's where I'm at. It's like I'm growing and it's great, but at the same time, I still want to be able to, you know, be powerful in my own life.
Yeah.
And it's, I think everybody wants that. That's why it's a disservice to pander to the feelings and make people victims and just feel sorry for people and give them free stuff, because that makes them less powerful in their own life. And the truth, if everyone got the truth from a young age, everybody would be like, boom, everybody would be winning. Everybody would have their own business, their family, and all that stuff, instead of excuses that make you feel better in the moment, you know?
Yep. It's just like raising a child.
You're just always going to have that element of people that don't want to try, that want to be lazy, and just they walk around every day so full of anger. And it's crazy because the anger is not stemmed from reality, it's stemmed from their imagination. It's something that they conjured up in their own head. I heard this white girl say, I need to use my privilege to help black people. Like, what privilege do you have? Like, what are you talking about? There's no white privilege. There's poor white people, poor black people, poor Asians. There's no privilege. What are you talking about? Are you saying you can just walk into a bank and say, hi, I'm white. Can I have $1 million?
Right. You know, privilege is a synonym for power, bro. So when they're saying acknowledging their quote privilege, they're acknowledging their white power, like the KKK.
And if anything, like I just showed Trevor a recent bullet or news flash that I think was Kentucky, the mayor or the governor, probably governor, wants to extend free healthcare for black people just because they're black. You know, there's all this catering to them. They get affirmative action. They get all these things. The media gives them more attention than they deserve. It doesn't. They do nothing but favor them, but they're doing it in the wrong way. They're spoiling them and making them entitled. So if anything,
man, they're starting to treat being black as if it's a disability.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly.
Are we going to start having black people lanes on the sidewalks and stuff? You know, here's a racism-free zone. Just walk on this side of the sidewalk for black.
Yeah, you'll get your own parking spot.
It's like that analogy, like a lot of people are using that, like, you know, this house is on fire. Not all houses are on fire. It's like, are you saying that because you're born on fire because you're black?
Oh yeah, they love that analogy. Like, well, you know, not everyone's house is on fire. You can't say all houses are on fire. You know.
Right now, this house is on fire, and we gotta help. I'm like,
it's a stupid analogy.
Like, so because you're born white, you're not on fire. But if you're born black, you're on fire.
Yeah, like your life is just a mess from day one.
That's what I'm saying. I don't see it, dude. Like, I've never, and I had this discussion with my mom. I said, I've never had a problem with what they call racism in my life. Never. I've never been left out of a place because I'm black. I didn't get a job because I'm black. I never had none of that stuff happen. Now, statistically, based on the narrative that they say, I should be dead by now by the hands of a police officer, right? Or I should never get a job because I'm black. You know, I mean, I shouldn't be able to get a loan anywhere because I'm black. I mean, so I've never experienced that. And like I said, I was raised up poor. I know what it's like to live in the ghetto. But any problem I had in my life, I take responsibility for that.
Yeah,
you know, I don't
that's
have
good,
some
man.
creepy white dude sitting in the bushes that I can blame, you know?
Exactly.
Well, your kids are gonna go up right, man.
Yeah, they'll be strong.
And that's the privilege. You know, the privilege is that you get to be born by a mother and a father that are good examples and they can show you the right way. And that's what it comes down to. Most people are having kids out of wedlock, and they didn't even plan to have kids. It wasn't their intention to have kids. They just happen to have them, and so now the kids are a burden. Right. And then they grow up learning the wrong way and looking through a certain lens. And their identity comes from their skin color or their culture.
They cater to the children. They don't want to hurt their feelings, so they give the children whatever they want. And it's just like the Bible says.
And they don't want to take accountability as parents. So, so it's easier for them to blame white people.
It's the reverse order. The children, women are above men, and they're putting children above themselves. It's all the same thing. Like Jesse said, it's Satan over children. Children over women, women over men, men over Christ, and Christ over God. They're reversing the entire order.
Yep. Yeah, that's true, man. But all we can do, man, is keep praying and keep doing what's right, because, you know, the world's on fire right now, but, you know, all things happen according to God's will, you know?
Yes,
yeah,
sir.
like I said before, like one thing that's interesting is that there's a divide happening right now, and it's a good divide. It's a divide between the angry and the hateful, and the people that are have love and that aren't. Like, you're either awake. There's no more debating for me, man. You're either awake or Satan has your soul.
Yeah. I think it's kind of funny to me because COVID-19 just disappeared overnight.
George Floyd cured it.
George Floyd cured COVID-19, man. Maybe he is a martyr because he found the cure, and it's called fentanyl and meth. You mix those together, and then boom, COVID is gone. You know?
Isn't it crazy? George Floyd had a better and bigger funeral than Michael Jackson.
Yeah.
He had a gold casket. I'm like, damn, dude, like, and all of a sudden his family has all this power and control to the United Nations or something?
Oh yeah, they made a public statement that they said that the United Nations should come into our country and disarm our police. Like, it has nothing to do. He didn't even die by a gun. It has nothing to do with guns. It's all about a takeover.
They know that dude was a hoodlum.
They're instant celebrities and of influence. It's like, who? Okay, like, George Floyd was a porn star.
Yeah,
a drug addict.
They have this a whole week of funerals for a child of Satan, and not one little bit of gold casket for David Dorn, the black man shot in the back of the head over TVs.
Right.
Where's Al Sharpton for that, man?
That was sad video.
No, Al Sharpton don't care because he ain't got that money coming in.
Yeah,
exactly.
Al Sharpton is like,
if a white man shot him, if a white man shot David Dorn, oh, he'll have some men.
oh man,
over some TV, over some TV,
You know, his family wishes that a white man did, because their family might have gotten $8 million fundraised too. You know.
Yep. Mhm.
But Al Sharpton is like one of those crooked therapists that wants to keep you sick, because if you're a therapist that cures your patient and doesn't need more and more therapy, then you don't get any more money coming in.
Yep. That dude's a professional race hustler, man. That's what he does.
He's done nothing to help black people.
With Tawana Brawley in the 80s, I mean, the dude knew he was wrong. He knew the chick was lying. Even when it all came out that she was lying, he never apologized for it. He never walked it back. He was never like, it's all I found out I was wrong, and I wanted to go, and he never did none of that. Because he's a crook, man. That dude, man, I can't stand that guy, man, really. But, him, Jesse Jackson, all these little, people that make all their money off this lie, they're just like what Jesse calls them. They're children of the lie, man. But people are waking up, and I'm going to tell you what, all this stuff going on, I think a lot of people that normally would vote Democrat, they might not say it out loud, but I bet after seeing all this stuff and how crooked people are, I think a lot of people are going to turn over to voting for Donald Trump, man.
Yeah, it has to, man. Look at all the cities that are turning into S-hole cities are all Democrat run.
Yep.
All of them.
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, T. Like, I think everyone, especially like you're in the better spot being in Texas, but everyone should be prepared to defend themselves, because if the mobs get bigger, which they likely will, Hillary Clinton is facing testifying in September. If they did this much hooping and hollering for her appeal, imagine how much chaos they're gonna try and cause for her actual testimony.
I actually believe these people are stupid enough to go and cause havoc at the voting booths, man. At the polling places. I guarantee you, come November when the voting starts, you're gonna see all these little weirdo Antifa guys throwing bottles and all this stuff at the protesting. I mean, at the voting site. You're gonna see it, and something else is gonna happen. Oh, it's a mass shooting, and he's a neo-Nazi, and all this crap is gonna happen again.
And you know when it's going to happen is right around the time Hillary Clinton goes in September for her court hearing.
Yep, exactly.
Because that Blackout Tuesday happened on the day Hillary Clinton went to court that day. What a coincidence.
Yep. But we'll see, bro. Y'all, I'm going to get off this phone, man, because I got to get up at 4 in the morning. But,
all right, man. Be blessed, bro. Thanks for calling in and hanging out, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right. I love you guys. Man.
I love you, bro.
Back again.
Love you too,
All
T.
right, take care, man.
Good night, brother.
Good night.
We had Kevin from Chicago. You want to call in, Kevin? The line's now open. Sorry, we only have the one line, so we can't really take a second caller and put you on hold.
You lying.
But you lying. But call in, Kevin. It is now free. I think he's a first-time caller.
Unknown caller.
Kevy Kev?
Is this Kevin?
Yes, sir. What's going on?
How you doing, sir? How you doing tonight?
Pretty good. I just want to call and shoot the shit.
Oh, watch the S-bombs though. We're on the YouTube stream.
Yeah, I don't want to get demonetized.
I'll be damned. No problem.
So what's
you know
up?
what's going on? We got a communist revolution happening.
Yes,
Stoked
sir.
up by the media.
So what are your thoughts on? Obviously you understand the communist angle. What do you think is coming down the pipe for us?
I see the clergy plan. They're trying to impose racial conflict, importing different cultures, importing different races, cause natural tension. They have an axe to grind.
Yep.
The people in charge, the powers that be, still haven't gave up their grudge to what happened to them in Rome. They're still mad at what happened to them in Rome for the past 3,000 years, and they had a grudge ever since. They just got a chip on their shoulder. They got disdain for the majority, for Christianity,
Right.
and that's what's happening. That's what's going on. That's the truth.
Kevin, for those who are not aware of what the clergy plan is, could you sum it up in a short way so that some of the listeners who might be new to the idea understand what that is?
It's basically a hatred for people of European descent. They want to do away with people of European descent. They don't want European majority countries. They view us as competition, as cattle. They're jealous, basically, of everything people of European stock have built, have done. You look at Europe, all the amazing things the Greeks did, the Romans did.
Right.
The culture, the history, the architect, the innovation, so on and so forth. They got a disdain for it. They hate it. They want to tear it all down. And I'm not going to name them, but you know who they are.
I do.
They hate Jesus Christ. They hate Jesus Christ. They hate Christianity. They mock Christians.
Yeah.
They mock Catholics. They mock Baptists.
That's exactly what I've been saying. Is it doesn't matter so much. Yes, there's certain groups who are overrepresented in this anti-Christ movement, but in the end, what matters more is that people can see the spiritual battle that's happening. And because it's not just that certain ethnic group, they have friends who don't share their background, but what they all represent in the end, at the top of their hierarchy, is the devil himself. And so we have to recognize that there is an attack on the Western world because the Western world is the last bastion of Christianity.
And all we can do is be prepared and see what mistakes we're making as people, because we can never blame, we never want to blame a specific race or ethnicity group or anything, because it's easier to be like, well, they, at the end of the day, no one could do anything to you unless you allowed it.
Like the porn argument. Yes, there's a group that controls most of the entire porn industry. However, if we never let if men never fell and gave in to that female spirit, that evil spirit, we wouldn't have let our children fall into that trap. We wouldn't have let our country fall into that trap. So in the end, like Trevor said, don't blame anybody. Just observe, be aware, but be better men and serve what is right and speak up and no longer accept it.
You know what? I don't like that idea, that narrative, because they expose who they are. They what's that quote? When someone shows you who they are, believe them. They showed who they are. They don't try to hide it.
So are you saying that you disagree in the sense that you think you should hate them?
It's not necessarily hate them, but name them. Name them. You can't solve the problem until until you name the problem.
I agree with that. Like you
No,
have to
I
you
agree.
have to make the observations. What I'm saying is what I've learned myself is that don't fall into the same trap of just naming and blaming. Name it, but also you need to be a better person. Live by example. So we have to stop watching porn. Stop giving into the degenerate ways of Hollywood and all the things they're introducing. Like don't give into it. Speak up. Don't let trannies come to your local libraries and read to your children. Be an example. So name it, but also live it.
And I think that there's a good way of encouraging people to realize that if one group of people can be criticized, all groups of people can be criticized, and there shouldn't be any special treatment. It should be able to, because white people, it seems these days, are the only ones that are allowed to be criticized, and there's no backlash. But if white people criticize anybody, they're either racist, anti-Semitic, or misogynist,
Islamophobic.
Islamophobic, all these things, and it's like, okay, well, we should all be able to criticize each other out of love. It doesn't come from hate. It comes from observation of reality.
Well, my thing is, it all comes down to the currency. Who controls the currency? Who is vilified the most out of any president throughout history? Andrew Jackson.
Yep, the bank
Who are they
wars.
trying to get rid of on the $20 bill? They're trying to get rid of Andrew Jackson. Why? Because Andrew Jackson tried to kill the banks. He killed the banks.
He did.
He got rid of the Federal Reserve.
He did.
And now they're trying to replace him with Harriet Tubman.
Yep.
Just to rub it in our faces.
They tried to assassinate him. It was the bank wars. It was very. A lot of people don't realize that. It's good you brought that up. Like this is not the first time. There have been a few men in history who have tried to stand up to this international world order, and they don't get talked about. And that's why I tell people be open to looking at the past with a new lens. Don't be emotionally attached to it, but relook at it because you've been brainwashed to see only one narrative. So understand what really happened in World War I and II. Understand what happened with Jackson.
Yeah, and I think the way things are playing out now, where they're trying to narrate and rewrite what's happening present, it's a giveaway to know that, oh, well, wait a second, how do I know anything that's been happening, written in a certain narrative is true? People are starting to question things like, if they're lying now about what's happening about Trump or whatever it is, how do you know that they're not lying about all this crap that they're teaching you in school?
Trump is just another puppet of Zion. You look at his handlers, he hasn't delivered on anything. He's been bailing out the big 1% billionaires. He's been a huge disappointment, huge letdown.
Yeah,
he's pretty much the lesser of two evil things. He is definitely the lesser of two evils when it comes to Clinton and Biden, but
right.
We really have no option. It's like they control him. It's like the freaking, what's it called? Two-party system. Who's gonna throw us a bone? It's pretty much that.
Yeah, two wings of the same bird, and that's my critique of him. Like I can look at the few things that on their own may be good. Renegotiating the trade deals, getting us out of the TPP. However, it doesn't excuse or negate the things he's failing to do, which is give away billions of dollars to our greatest ally, while also importing thousands upon thousands of foreign workers to replace American workers. And if he really was about making America great again, he would build up our native workforce, protect the borders, build the wall already, and not care what the media is going to say, because the media is going to be like that angry woman. They're going to call you every name in the book. Doesn't make it true. Just get the work done.
Absolutely, 100%. And based on what's going on in the streets, the riots, it's pretty much insane because it's all going to plan. This has been going on this is brainwashing, public brainwashing for decades.
Yep.
They've been, what's it called, demoralization. You remember what Russia did? Yuri Bezmenov?
Yep.
Demoralization,
And
destabilization. Yeah, it's all coming to fruition. And
so are you in
Polish American?
Are you in
I'm
Chicago?
gonna go back to my homeland.
Are you in Chicago right now, Kevin?
Yes, sir.
Do you plan on leaving the cities? Because I feel like it's an unsafe place to be as this progresses. The cities, especially a leftist city, would be a terrible place for any true Americans, especially white Americans, given what the mob has been showing they're going to do to people like that.
It's definitely crossed my mind. I'll just say that. It's definitely, I want to get the heck out of Dodge. I don't know Polish though. Both my grandparents are Polish. I'm about 75% Polish, so I would qualify. For the right of return law. So I would have to go there, learn the language. I don't want to do that though. I like America. I like Americans. I like the founding fathers, what they represent, the freedoms.
Yeah, this is our country. We gotta fight for it.
All that, but when push comes to shove.
Yeah, and when you say, like, if someone says, like he's just said, this is our country, we gotta fight for it, and there's somebody who is an American who says, wait a second, no, this is our country. It's like, whose country? Like, Americans need to stop the divide of racial credit. Everybody wants credit for everything. Like, no, this country was built off of the backs of us. It's like, well, dude, we're all Americans, so, like, we're about to lose it all. You know what I mean? Like, why can't we all, like, unite as Americans and keep what we have? Like, it's all that ego.
Yeah, don't play their word games. Just defend the Constitution, defend the Founding Fathers' principles, and that's it. I don't have time for people trying to sidetrack the conversation and make it about American Indians or slavery.
Right.
It has nothing to do with it. It's either the Republic lives or it dies.
Well, that's good and all, but when it comes down to it, homogenous nation is good. It's good for a healthy society. Homogenous thinking, community, you're all on the same page. I mean, there's been so many studies that people like to be around their own. And when you get different races all coming together, living in close proximity, the stress levels go through the roof, the quality of life go down, things of that nature. So we got to be able to be real and be true. I know Jesus said we're all one of the same blood. There's no difference between Greek or Jew, but you have to respect nations. What are nations?
Well, he came to bring a sword, so he also wants us to live right and be right. It doesn't just because we all are, we were made by God, doesn't mean that we're all serving God.
Right.
Right, but I think they're doing this on purpose. Why are they trying to import millions of people from South America? Why are they trying to bring in people from Africa? Because civil unrest, to cause divide and conquer, to erase the native population. So I don't know, man. It's like you can't just ignore these things. These are realities of the situation that nobody wants to touch. Nobody wants to talk about these things because it's a taboo subject. They get a little bit nervous, but this is freaking reality of the situation.
Yep.
You look at all these different nations.
Yeah, that example is the real analogy to use about the building on fire. Like, I know all buildings matter, but our building's on fire. That's us as Americans. Our country's on fire, and American citizens should be taken care of before any other, things open up for other people from other countries with different ideologies want to come here and corrupt it and change us. There should
be zero immigration. We are full. In fact, we're oversaturated with people who are here with no documents illegally. All that needs to be sorted out. So even one person brought in to do an American job is one person too many. And that's not out of hate. That's out of love for your own house. Because what made this place beautiful, what made people want to come here, is those exact policies and us, like you said, being homogeneous and having the same set of values. And if we lose that, well, then this is not going to be America anymore.
And if America is so crappy and so horrible, why does everybody want to be here?
Exactly.
Spot on, guys. You guys know what the heck you're talking about. And it's not about hating people of other races or trying to keep people out. It's just about having a homeland.
Right.
Right and wrong.
Yeah. I want Japanese to have Japan. I want Chinese to have China. I want people to have their nations to exist and to keep that uniqueness, because that's what God made it. And for us to mix it to the point where you can't tell who's who, that's an abomination against God's order. And that's what these internationalist people are doing. They're going against God's will. They're forcing something on a massive scale. And it's like it's just like individuality, right? I don't want to blame anybody else. I'm not trying to fix anybody else but myself. So people that live in their countries should focus on their countries and fix that up to be just as great or better than America. And if everyone did that, then the whole world would start thriving and we would exponentially grow to even better. But everybody wants to just come here
as opposed to fix where they came from. You know, they're bringing their policies from their countries here, trying to change it, and it's just, it blows my mind.
Absolutely, everybody needs to protect their homeland and fight for their homeland. And I don't know. It's almost like their country's been ruined. They try to ruin one country so the globalists, the financiers, the global banking cartel, they ruin one country, force them into another country to ruin that one. It's like, let's blow up the Middle East so we can flood Europe
with refugees.
It's like it's almost like a sick, twisted plan.
Mass immigration is it's literally an invasion. They're bringing in millions of people who are they're not going to be able to assimilate. They're not here to assimilate, and at the same time, their egos are being stroked. That you're better, white people are trash, so they come here with a hostile attitude towards the European culture, and that's all part of the plan, not an accident. Just look at the UK. Crime has more than doubled. Stabbings, rapes, mob violence, and it's all directed towards the native British people.
I could never
Swedish
imagine
people, French people, German people.
I can't imagine
I mean,
if I moved to China, and then you know, Chinese people treated or, you know, looked at me differently. I moved to China and tried to change China, and then, you know, got mad and been like, you guys are all racist. Like it just, couldn't imagine ever doing that.
totally. It's like you're trying to go to a country and then change it and like enforce their values on it.
Exactly.
Could you imagine going to another country and doing that? Like,
No.
trying to.
And every movie you watch nowadays, they add Christianity is the only thing that you can make fun of and dog, like, you know. But if it's any other country or any other religion or whatever that's not American Christianity, then it's fine. It's like, oh no, it's not fine. It's like, oh, you can't say that. Oh, don't offend them. But they go in on Christian values and they make fun of priests or all kind of stuff. Like, in horror movies and stuff, they use it. It's like,
if you're a
it's
nationalist,
insane.
every like white guy in a movie who's a patriot, they always over exaggerate him, and he's borderline hateful of everybody.
Yeah.
So that way, it's just like programming. Like, so if any white guy is ever proud of his nation or heritage, then in your head you just think of, oh, hateful white man.
Yeah. So if you hear any kind of talking points that they use in that, then you associate it with that kind of person that's angry and doing it wrong way.
Case in point, American History X. And people will be like, whoa, let's find out. But if you listen to what the main character Derek says, Ed Norton's character, the data is correct. What they did was use this fake hypothetical character, you know, in the movie, Derek Vineyard, and they made him operate from hate.
Yeah.
But all the information was exactly spot on.
And they make it so, oh, okay, now I'm going to identify with anyone who says anything that similar to this must be a white supremacist,
a hateful man,
a Nazi, or whatever it is. So it totally cancels out that conversation, and you're not allowed to talk about it, or else you're that person.
You're blacklisted from. If you mention any of those talking points, you are automatically a skinhead.
It's a setup.
It's also pretty much everything that goes against biblical law. They're promoting, whether it's gay marriage, abortion,
right,
violence on television, adultery. It's like everything you could think of. The music that's being promoted, everything you could think of, it goes against Christian values, goes against biblical law.
And they just changed.
Who are these people?
They just banned Elmer Fudd because he has a gun, but then they're adding LGBT gay stuff in kids shows. That's fine, but not Elmer Fudd having a gun.
Exactly.
It's so backwards, man. How do we stand up against this stuff? Like, what do we do?
Yeah, what would you recommend?
Like, what are we supposed to do? Are we just supposed to make memes and talk about it on Facebook, and so we can be silenced by these private companies that want to tell us what we can and can't say? Like, I don't understand what do we do, because we're not going to go out and be like the rioters and burn down our own buildings and stuff like that.
Exactly. Another thing is people, they say, oh, they're just trying to make money. It's all about making money. I don't buy that. I don't think that's what it is. I think they have plenty of money. I think they're financed by the bankers. They're financed by the Federal Reserve and these mega rich people. I don't think it has to do with the money. I think it's about programming. I think it's about pushing out their agenda. So when they say, oh, the newspaper, they're just trying to get clicks. So they just want to get clicks. So the movies, they're just trying to generate profit.
Right.
I don't think that's what it is. I think they're trying to push an agenda purposely, and if they make money because of it, that's a cherry on top.
Yeah,
What do you guys think
it's a
about that?
win-win. In the end, yeah, the programming has always been the goal. If they can make money while programming, they're not opposed to that. But the programming is the goal. Always has been.
And it's slow boil, but it's been happening for freaking years.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's been great talking to you, Kevin. Like, this is the first time you called in, so I'm glad you did, bud. And stay hanging out with us, and you're always welcome to call in and share stuff.
Yeah, man. I think if we keep this up and get people talking and stuff, it'll hopefully encourage people to at least speak up. If anything, we won't be afraid. Like we've been afraid too long, man. It's like I'm not afraid.
Yeah, we don't want to talk. We don't want to come from a place of hate. We just want to encourage people to have no fear and say it in the right way, because the world will call you what they're going to call you. Just don't give in to that same operation. Don't come from hate.
Exactly. You can't be afraid to speak your mind and try to hold back. You're afraid someone's gonna, you may be pushing hate, or you may be saying something wrong and this and that. Nah, I don't care, man. This is what I believe. This is what I think. When I see what these demons are pushing, I'm gonna go against it. I'm gonna do the opposite of what they want.
Exactly.
So when I see them wanting to flood America with people from different nations, I'm gonna go against it. When I see them promoting abortion and homosexuality, I'm gonna go against that. When I see them hating on the police and calling them violent pigs and thugs and criminals, I'm gonna go against that. So that's my mindset is. But you gotta be careful. We gotta look out for the controlled opposition.
Right.
You gotta look out for the controlled opposition. People like Ben Shapiro, Alan Dershowitz,
Charlie Kirk, Charlie Cuck.
Charlie Cook, absolutely. And we can watch out for them because they always try to say what you want. They'll take out the low-hanging fruit, but when it comes to the important issues like war, they're fully on board.
Yep.
And another thing we gotta watch out and be aware of is these spell words. Like, for example, they're calling like white girls that call in and report wrong things. It's like we're being shamed by calling Karen.
Right.
Like being called a Karen. And so now more white people are even afraid to say something like, well, I don't want to be a Karen.
Right. And everyone gets on board. It's all
a trick because at first it's funny. You're like, yeah, that's true. That's like a Karen. But then the real thing about it is it's more silencing of white people.
Exactly. Because white women tend to be more vocal and will call you out for cutting in the line or breaking the rules. And it's not about demonizing that. Let's use that for good. More women should be doing that. We need more Karens calling out the wrong. And men need to stand by those Karens. We need more Chads and we need more Karens.
I don't know. The way I think about it with the Karens is the busybodies. I think there's the busybody Karen that's bad.
Yeah.
But what's messed up about that incident when it comes to that dude came up to her.
Exactly.
And was giving her shit about the dog. Like, oh, that dog's not supposed to be here. Like, hey, buddy, mind your own business. Mind your own business. Don't worry about where she walks her dog. So that dude was a Karen. The black guy that came up to her, he was the Karen.
Yeah.
But I know what you mean, though, when it comes to that.
It's just having that eye open.
Yeah.
Having the eye open to see that it's another trick, because then you'll look up one day and be like, wait a second, that was a plant that grew in our minds.
Right.
And it controlled us.
It's dogging white women.
It's controlling.
There may be some white women who are obviously like very leftist and will be a Karen.
Because I know those
but don't
Karens,
give into it, because
the bad ones.
in the end, what it's really going to do, the real takeaway and how it's being used by everybody is white women. Not liberal, not anything else, just white women.
Absolutely. I know what you mean. There's a demonization there, and that's not cool. That's what I don't like, too.
If white people and other people in the world started making it trend to be like calling a certain type of girl that was black and be like, oh, Shaniqua, calling her that, it'd be all hell will break loose.
Right.
It's just another example of using some way to demonize white people, and it's okay, and white people just take it.
Yeah, you can call a white girls Karen who rat you out, but if you call a black criminal a jogger, they're like, that's borderline racist.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's like the N-word. It's like it's the same game you're playing.
see the double standards, and
yeah, if she's a Karen, then you're a jogger.
Equality.
Absolutely. Now, I just got a question. You're of Hispanic descent, the gentleman in the green shirt?
I'm mixed. German, Norwegian descent with a little bit of Scotch-Irish on that side, and then Spaniard and Central American on the maternal side.
Okay. So what's that like for you? Do you feel like you're kind of, what do they call it, an Uncle Tom, a coon, what they do for black people, saying, oh, you're going against your own or something like that?
Oh yeah, I'm basically the outcast in the family. You know, I don't cut them off, but I can feel that they kind of box me out and freeze me out from things. They don't say it, but you can feel it. And growing up, which is why I'm opposed to the forced mixing of races, is because I was raised mixed, and it was hell, because you're neither one or the other, and they make you painfully aware that you're neither one or the other. And you end up doing what most people do who are mixed. You dog your white side if you are mixed with white, and you embrace the quote-unquote minority side, but it's all based on shame and fear. And so in this last couple of years after I woke up, I've embraced that white side because I've been raised with those values. And I just say white, but really it's just American, traditional, European-based values. And that's how we were raised. That ruled the house more than this idea of a minority culture. And so I'm embracing that, and I'll stand up for it because that's what this country is. And I got plenty of friends who are full-blooded Mexican, and they stand by that same logic. They want white people to stand up and take back their country because they love what that culture built here, and they don't want it to go away.
I totally respect that. You know what's funny you said it is, I'm from Chicago, and there was like the Latin kings over here. There was the black inner city, the thugs from the inner city try to come and loot their stores, and all the Vastos pretty much told them to get the heck out of Dodge, and they kicked them out, took control of the streets. And that's it. I'm respectful, man. I don't got no problem with that. They got their community, and they're protecting their community. I got no problem with that. I think that's how everything should be. Is everybody got their community and protecting. They got their values and how they feel like they should live. But the only problem is the conquering. It seems like there's a conquering. That's the problem I have. But anyways, I'll leave you guys to it.
Hey, man, thank you, Kevin. Great hearing from you.
Yeah, man. Thank you, brother.
No doubt. Take it easy, guys.
Be well. That's amazing.
Little bastard Knack.
Clapping.
Clap back.
Queen Butterfly's in the chat. She says I look Italian.
Queen Butterfly.
Oh, mamma mia.
It's a me, Mario.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Everyone knows Mario Kart, one of the greatest games ever made.
Oh, yeah. I got that game on my phone, actually. I was playing it for a long time.
I swear, I don't care how old I am, if you just give me an N64 controller and put that game in, I will still smoke you.
No,
you just remember that.
My sisters, when I go visit with my nieces and stuff, like, that's the only game we play. She's got a Wii with Mario Kart 8.
I love it.
And, dude, it's amazing.
GoldenEye,
Exactly.
Mario Kart, and then I got into Halo and Gears of War.
I never got into that, but I did play on Nintendo 64 WWF No Mercy.
I forget that I'm playing that one, but
yeah,
it's
I
good.
mean, the people that knew that game, they'll tell you now that game was still arguably the best wrestling game of all time. The functionality of it, like, there's nothing that's better than that.
Skill says nobody can beat me at Mario Kart. Sorry, Rich. Well, bro, if we ever meet, we better have a Mario Kart challenge. I will slide and hit you with that red shell. We'll do the battle setup. That's my favorite. You got the 3 balloons.
I never liked the battle one. I like the races.
I like the battle when you have 4 players, because then you can really see who's got the skills to shoot and fire at you.
Well, let's see who's the fastest. If you ain't first, you're last.
That's right. Anybody like Final Fantasy? No, I forgave my mother, so I wasn't into that job.
I was never into RPG stuff like Zelda and stuff like that. I needed those quick, fun shoot, kill games and stuff. That little gnat, I can see him over there. And I think, where's that damn gun, bro?
We got another challenger.
Gotta
Zeke
kill that
Deputy
guy.
says, I'll beat you at Mario Kart, not Smash, though. I'm trash. Yeah, I was terrible at Smash Brothers. I didn't like that game.
You're not terrible at smashing brothers.
No.
I mean, you're the brothers that you grew up with.
You can choose my racer. I don't even care. Damn. I always go with Toadstool. That's my racer. Toad.
Beta Toad.
A lot of guys love that. Yeah, I know. There's a lot of dudes who got into Final Fantasy. I didn't have a system for it. We always got. We were like one system behind. I didn't even get a PlayStation growing up.
This little bastard always disappears into the darkness, man. He shows up. This little gnat flying around is the most annoying little gnat.
Princess Peach.
He will
Shelly.
die tonight.
Yeah, girls gotta love Princess Peach. Trev looks Irish. That boy.
Well, I'm Irish.
That boy is Irish. Look at that red hair. He's a true minority.
Well, I have more of a red beard, if anything. When I was a kid, I was a towhead, as they would call me. I had like super like white hair. I never had red hair.
Towhead?
That's what they would say. It was like if your hair is all white, like blonde.
Oh.
You know, that's what the term is. But and then it wasn't until I got older that my hair got darker, and then my beard. When I got a beard, my beard's way redder than my hair.
Yeah, in the sunlight I got red hints, and I used to have dirty blonde hair, and then I got
You're
all
just dirty.
Now I just got into dirty Mexican hair. And look, I got that jungle
See,
Mexican.
that's what I miss, man. Like 10 years ago, I could hang out with anybody, all my friends, and it was like we could make jokes about anything, and people would laugh. Why is it that things change? Why is everybody so sensitive? It's like you gotta walk on eggshells. Be careful what you say. People turn on you. All of a sudden, you're a hateful, angry person over jokes or what you think.
It's
or
like Coming to
opinions.
America. Be like the barbers,
Especially
the black
men.
guys and the Jewish guy in Coming to America, where they sit around the barbershop and just crack jokes on
Exactly.
each other.
There was a barbershop that I used to go where I lived, and that's what it was like. And I was like, it was refreshing when I went in there. I was like, man, I love that you guys can talk crap in here, and everybody laughs and doesn't take it personal. Everyone equally distributes the crap talking. Nobody's safe.
No.
You know, it's like, that's the way it is with men, man.
And there's a difference. That's why I got a great compliment the other day. I've been encouraging a lot of the girls from church to get their firearms and become an American citizen, a gun-owning American citizen. And one of them went through with it. I'm not gonna say which one. That way she could surprise you if you ever try to mess with her. But she said that the girls were talking about how they actually do like men who own weapons and who talk like that and advocate for them to defend themselves and who push for that, because it isn't natural. Like before, when I was asleep, I was the same way. I was kind of like, I don't want to. Guns are cool, but you're kind of hesitant. Now I don't care. I'm embracing.
Think about like in the long run, damn it, that gnat again. Every time I start talking, in the long run, if what's better, if to keep limiting on what you say and make people more sensitive and emotional, where you gotta try to control what people say. Or is it better that people become stronger and people can say anything? They have the freedom to say and do what they want to say, and you don't take it personal or take offense to it. That's why I notice like the identity issue. That people have such a problem with identity, and they need to feel like they belong, and that who they are has to do with their identity. If there's any criticism of the culture or identity or anything like that, they take it personal and they get offended and they cry, they get upset or defensive or whatever it is, when you're not even speaking about that one person in particular. You're talking about as a whole, because there's statistics as whole things.
Just like talking about the black community stats to try and dispel these Black Lives Matter narratives, bringing that up when you're talking to a black friend who is not a criminal, but who is emotionally identifying with criminals, they think
say,
you're talking about
next.
them.
They're like, I could be next, or my son could be next, but only how?
Yeah, and they say,
you're not
black
resisting.
people aren't like that. I was like, I'm not saying all black people are like that. I'm saying that look at these amazing numbers and how out of control it is. It doesn't mean you, but you're co-signing that, and by ignoring it, you're not dealing with the problem, because those kids are dying. By the dozens in Chicago.
Yeah.
Where's your love for that?
And I grew up, being taught. It has nothing to do with my skin color, because, the black friends that I have that I know grew up the same way, learned the same thing. That when you are having an instance with a police officer, you let them have it, man. Like it's you gotta stroke their ego. They're the authority. If they're pulling you over, it's probably for a reason. And if I start to try to resist and give them attitude or try to win the argument, it's never gonna be good for me. I've been to jail. I've had tickets. I've been into certain situations with cops, and I know whenever I was ever defensive and thinking that I can outsmart them and lie or whatever, I was always in the wrong for something, but I didn't want to take accountability for it. And even if it was a small little wrong, whatever it is, maybe I didn't have my seatbelt on, whatever it was, But anytime I was able to, be like, you're right. look, we were driving right like a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. We went to go get in and out late night, and he busted a U-turn, and the cops came, boom, pulled us over. He says, you know why I pulled you over or whatever, and he immediately he's like, I took that U-turn. I was, impatient. I saw that the light was red, and I knew no one was coming, so I know I shouldn't have taken that U-turn, but I apologize. He's like, all right, 1 second. He goes back like he's writing a ticket. He comes back. He's like, and then they started talking to us a little bit. Any weapons in the car, and we said, well, we got some pocket knives, and we're just honest about it, and they let us go. They didn't give it, and it's not because of our white privilege. It's because it's because we were honest and put the truth out there, and took accountability. And anytime I've ever done that, they let us go.
Yep, just
and
like
these are Armenians.
Yeah, just like when we were in the car with Joel. He's black, and he got pulled over. He was driving, and it was an Asian cop, and he let him go because he was honest. You're not giving them attitude.
Yeah.
If you really look at these encounters, these people are not like you. They're emotional and they're combative with the cops. Just like Ahmaud Arbery, in all the footage prior to the one where he got shot, just showing his earlier police contacts, the Walmart incident and the park incident, he was overly aggressive. He was already defensive, already angry.
And cops, I think, are trained to recognize spirit and body language. So that's what they're looking for.
Kelly.
Is this Kelly or Shelly?
Shelly.
Shelly from Dakota?
From South Dakota, that's
From
right.
South Dakota.
Have you called before?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you.
She's the one. She's married.
I remember.
She's got a based husband. You got some kids, I believe.
Yep, 3 children
Awesome. How are you doing?
and a husband. I'm good. I'm well. I'm doing well.
No woman is good. No, I'm kidding.
Is your husband
I know,
an alpha or is he a beta male?
Well, when I asked Jesse about it, we went straight to beta. But he has forgiven his mother, and there's some things we did in our fallen state, and we're working on it.
But
so
at the end of the day,
it'll get better.
you seem like you're on the right path, and like he obviously picked a woman that is able to see that. Like it's awesome that you're able to identify with the stuff we're talking about. Maybe you're calling to disagree, but but no, as I would assume, because you're a fan of Jesse and stuff like that. Like the truth is in us, and in you, and whatever it is. Like maybe he's got some beta or whatever, but I would think that there's alpha there. You guys are married, you have kids, and you're doing it in the right way. So good for you.
Yeah, we did do it in the right way, but we were in a fallen state. We both listened to Jesse. I listen to him more because he works. So I can catch the morning show, and he'll catch Get a Job.
Get a job.
Highlight. Yeah, and then if I mention something like with that Tim, that situation with the police who did that same thing to that white man, that Tim guy.
Yeah,
he
Tony
listened to
Timber.
that one today. Yeah, so we talk to each other about the things that we've heard today, through the day when he gets home. But I wanted to call in and kind of go off what T was saying with how people, or how, like the color of your skin is a disability. Like a black person's, their color of their skin is a disability.
Yeah.
We had an incident. My son attends public school, unfortunately, but there's a lot of reasons why. We discussed it, and we're letting him go to public school. But when he was in 8th grade, he had a teacher, and we actually went in and met with her and the principal because there was a student that came from Africa, and she was telling her story. And she's like, this is how we moved here. This is why we're here. And the teacher said to the whole classroom when she was giving her, after her presentation, that, we'll just call her Mary. I don't know. I don't remember her name, but she says, Mary is at a disadvantage because of the color of her skin.
Wow.
And I looked at my son and I said, what did she say? Why did she say that to that child?
That's so messed
Why
up.
would you?
Yeah.
Isn't that messed up?
That's
That's
traumatizing.
messed up.
Like,
Oh.
you were destroying
It
himself.
is. Oh, it was terrible. So I started doing some research online. Everybody has. Well, I don't have a Facebook. We cut ours off years ago, but
That was smart.
I started going on her Facebook, her Twitter page, and of course, what do I find?
Leftist.
Equality. Just all Trump is when Orange Man Bad was going
talking
around,
about the teacher?
That was,
Yeah.
What's that?
You're talking about the teacher, right?
Her social media.
Yeah, the teacher. Yeah, her social media pages, right? So I printed some of the things off and set up an appointment because there were a few other things he had mentioned about, her having a bias in class, and saying some things that I thought were not appropriate for the classroom. Like, you're supposed to be teaching, not
Yeah,
telling
they're
them
trying
what
to
you
teach
see.
politics and racism in school. My sister's going through the same thing, and they're disguising it as saying, "Oh, it's not that. It's about humanitarianism."
Yeah, they'll do we want to teach the kids social behaviors and how to be a good person. Well, you don't get to decide that.
Exactly.
That's
You
not your
teach my kids,
decision.
give them an education, not raise my kids. That's the job of a parent.
Right. Now, I understand, sit down, be quiet. We have rules in the classroom. I get, let's
Yes.
be decent to each other and have some common courtesy, those type of things.
Right.
But you don't get to tell my child that this black girl is at a disadvantage because of the color of her skin.
And by
That's
implication,
wrong.
they're saying that your child has privilege over
Exactly.
her,
That's
and it's
teaching
better
them.
than
They're
her.
teaching them about racism. Racism is taught.
Yeah, they're
And
putting
That's
it in
exactly
their
what
heads.
she's doing. Yes, and so we
Exactly.
did. We had an appointment set. We went in and we talked with her, showed her, some of the what your personal opinions are seem to be creeping into the classroom, and we disagree with that. And she denied it. And we didn't bring my son. We didn't bring him along because that's not appropriate either.
Right.
Okay, you tell us what she's been saying. So we couldn't really go anywhere. It was his word against hers at that point.
Right.
But there was something else too. She, her Twitter page is locked now. It's been locked since that meeting. She closed it off, which I'm good. You should. You shouldn't be using, because she was promoting classroom and school events on a personal Twitter page along with her personal opinions.
Insane.
So it was a fine line she was walking. But
That's
she had
good
all
for
the
you for
here's
standing up against that stuff, man. My sister did the same thing, and my buddy Caesar did the same exact thing. It's humanitarianism. We're teaching these kids about how to be racist. They're planting the idea of that you're different based on the color of your skin.
Yeah, exactly what they do.
So
They
backwards.
cover it, and she denied it. But another thing I noticed, and my son had told us this, that she has all the presidents up on the wall, and this is just, he's going to be a sophomore, and this was in 8th grade, so maybe 2 years ago, has all the presidents on the wall except Trump. And on her Twitter page, she had, all these little facts about the president, the birth dates, where they were born, not Trump. So I had said, I noticed that you don't have Trump up, and it's been, 2 years now. She said, well, I just haven't had time to
She's
get
like,
it
oh,
up.
that's
Your
not my
son can-"
president.
Yeah, she said your son can make it if he wants to. He can make a a little pamphlet.
It's amazing
of
how
Trump. That's not
childish
his
they
job.
are. They can't even control They can't even just be disciplined enough to. It's a fact. He's a president.
Exactly.
You know how many other presidents had hang-ups? Truman wasn't no peach, but we still talk about Truman. And LBJ.
still is.
LBJ.
It
Yeah.
is what
Yeah.
it is.
It just is what it is. Like LBJ said that he'll have these Negroes voting a Democrat for 200 years, but he didn't use the Negro word. He used the other one. It just shows you what kind of person they were. But we learned about LBJ. They don't teach blacks about that or white kids about that.
Right. So I did point it out, and my husband did really well. He stressed that if you're going to give one opinion, give the other opinion. If you're going to give one side of the story, we want to make sure that he's hearing the other side of the story as well. Let's just not tell him one way. She says, well, we have lots of resources over here. He can come over here and look that up. I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't wait till you're done.
Yeah, my kids, if I ever have kids, they're not going in public school, that's for sure.
No, just don't do it. And I thought we were getting away with I would hear some of this stuff, and I thought, well, we're, in South Dakota, we're smaller. It's not here. Oh, it's here. It's here. And some of the teachers in high school, and, it's something I fight with myself about, is not homeschooling him, but he's been in in public school since 2nd grade here. And he has a really strong group of friends, and I know their parents. We play baseball together. So I do have this core, and if we do see any problems or issues, we address them.
Yeah.
But that's one of the things I do. Like when Jesse says, you hate your children if you put them in public school. I'm like, I don't hate them, I promise.
Yeah, but I mean, but this is why he says it, because, and it's not a dig against you. Like, I don't know your situation, and maybe you guys financially need to work right now to pay the bills, but we can't lie to ourselves and say that the schools are there to protect them. They are destroying them. So if we do love them, we will get them out as soon as we can. Do everything it takes to get them the hell out of there, and never put them in there if we have the resources to do it from home.
Because schools don't teach kids how to think and put dots together and learn to think for themselves. They're indoctrinating them and giving them stuff to remember and talking points and all that kind of stuff. You know, like school should be teaching you about how to be an adult and how to live life and how to come to your own conclusions. That's what school should be.
Okay, but the struggle also is for our situation. The two little ones, like my little picture is our daughter. So we have little, younger children that will be homeschooled. I stay home during the day. My part-time job is at night, so we can make the homeschooling work, but we've discussed it with him. He would resent us. He would be so upset. He really enjoys school and his friends. He gets decent grades. And if we pulled him out, I just think that it would push him away from us, and he would hate us.
How old is your son?
That's where.
How old is that one?
He's 15.
Well, okay, I can see that. I mean, it's he's been there long enough. I guess. I mean, if I was in that situation, I would just make sure that you're always clearing the air and making sure that, like by example, he sees what is right and what's not. So if he has these ideas that they're filling in his head, that you guys are speaking the truth.
It seems like he is. He's coming home and telling them about that stuff. That he probably can see the difference. He's old enough to know.
So I mean, I can get that. Like he's almost done anyways. 3 more years and he'll be out of there.
Yep, he'll be done. And we're not really encouraging college. We have told him you'll pay for it. That's
like Schmitty says in the chat, if you are going to put him in this public school system, then you better watch those teachers like a hawk. And it's true. Then be on their ass. Like that way your son and your child can see that you are going to protect them. You're not going to impose on them, but you will have their back whenever someone tries to shame them for their culture or their whiteness.
Yep, and I have to be careful about, we have to be careful about that too, because there's times that incidents have come up and he has discussed it, and I was like, maybe I need to go talk to somebody. And he's like, please, Mom, don't do that. Please don't go in and say anything. Everybody will, so there's also that aspect of making sure that but I do attend the conferences, which are like 15 minutes anyway. It's like, come sit down, yeah, your kid's doing great, and then you leave. It's like, okay, that's not helping me.
Yeah.
Getting to know them. But there are little glimpses that I get. We were talking about one of his friends, and he was talking about the home, because, we really didn't stop our life with the COVID, so we still allowed him to go to friends' homes and hang out, as long as their parents were okay with it, and he was feeling fine. Like nobody's sick, so you can go. But he was talking about one of his friends and the things that they had at their home, and I was like, wow, what did their parents do? That sounds cool. They have a trampoline, they have this, they have virtual reality, the glasses or whatever. I was like, wow. He said that his friend's dad made some sort of birth control pill, and I was like, please don't tell me Plan B. Like, oh no, he wasn't a part of that. And he's like, no. But we got to the point, he's like, some of my friend, his girl, not girlfriends, but the girls that are his friends, he said that some of them are on that. And he goes, Mom, doesn't that kind of say that it's okay that they have sex? And I was like, yeah, exactly. That's exactly what they're doing. They're like, well, you can get on birth control. Now you can go have sex. And that's not right. You need to wait. You need to find that lady, make her your wife, and then let's have some babies. You got to save that. That's very special. So when he says little things like that, I'm like, okay, things are sinking in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's so true, man. Like girls that have, especially women, because they're more emotional. The ones that have those multiple relationships and men that partners they've had, they get damaged. Like they're more. It's like when they actually think they found someone, like maybe in their 30s or something, after they've dated and went through all these different relationships. When they are with somebody, it's going to be a lot easier for them to move on to the next one if it doesn't work out or whatever it is. It doesn't have that chance of lasting as long. When it's your first love, and I'm not saying that I've lived the best life, but I know being a guy, I'm different. I feel for the women, because the women are the ones that get more, emotionally destroyed inside from that kind of stuff. And so, especially girls, man, like if they find one guy and one man and all they know is that man, and it can last forever, so much better than I've been with 100 guys and.
Yeah, the studies show that the more sexual partners a woman has, the more promiscuous she is, the less she is dramatically less likely to pair bond, to be able to settle down with a man, to submit in the right way, to actually have real love. She becomes so damaged that she just jumps from man to man because her ego will say, oh, this guy's telling you what to do, go to the next one. Or he's not letting you control him with sex, go to the next one.
My ex-girlfriend, she cheated on me with a friend of mine, well, quote, friend of mine. And it's like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know. It's like, who does that?
Yeah, lost people,
Exactly.
women that are just lost. They don't know. Their parents didn't help guide them. And no, I hear you. Well, guys, I just kind of wanted to bounce that off of what T was saying earlier about
that was
how
a good
they
point.
make your skin color disability. Well, he's right. I knew exactly what he meant. It's like they're doing it in the public schools. They're doing it on TV. And here's another thing too. This is crazy. One more thing, and then I'll go. My daughter is in a little dance class. Right? It's so cute, and they have so much fun. And the teacher sent out a group meet text that was like, okay, everybody, you can come back to class on Tuesday night at 5:15. And then about 15 minutes later, she's like, oh, class is canceled for blackout. For
Wow.
Blackout Tuesday?
Wow.
I was like, you can just take me off the group chat, please.
Yeah.
And I said, please remove me from the group chat. I was like, you're not going to teach my 5-year-old about Blackout Tuesday. When did dance class become political?
Insane,
She's 5.
man. What they're not talking about is, is it Blackout Tuesday or is it actually Hillary Clinton's court day?
Exactly.
Oh, is that what it was?
That was the same day that was. It just so happens Blackout Tuesday was when Hillary Clinton went to court.
She went to go appeal to try not to testify regarding all the emails and what will likely be the trial for treason for the Spygate scandal, and she lost that appeal. But all that got distracted or covered up by all the rioting.
No way. Yes, because that's what we talked about when my husband got home. I said, he's like, what did you say? I was like, I wanted to say some things, but all I said was, please take me off the group chat. Thank you. He's like, good.
That's it. Yeah.
I can't, but that's all we talked about. The rest of the night was, why for 5-year-old dancing class? Please. I did not know that. That's crazy.
Well, Hillary Clinton will be in her next court date hearing
September 9th.
So
watch and see how much nonsense happens leading up to that date.
We'll see those distractions that they try and throw at us to make people not know.
Yeah. What they do to try to just keep us looking the other way. Look the other way. Nothing over here.
All the see.
All right, guys. Well, you have a good night. And
All right,
I'll be in the chat.
Take care,
watching
Shelley.
when I can.
Bye,
Shelley.
Sean.
You have a great show, guys.
Girl, bye.
All right. Bye. Bye.
That's great.
Yeah, that's a base mama right there.
Base mom.
Base mama.
Baseball? Have you seen my base mom?
my baseball?
Have you seen my base mom?
Skip says, I'm white, but I tan real good. Smitty's bright white with the good blonde hair and blue eyes. Oh, Smitty, then you're gonna have a lot of beautiful little whack babies.
Skip came on Facebook today as the savior, trying to defend that racism exists.
What?
Well, he's like,
Skip, what happened, man?
He's like, I get that it's evil, but if we have synonyms for other things, why can't we use racism? And You know, it's like I can only have so much energy to try to say what I want to say, because when you call something racist, it automatically creates a racial a racial tension between people. It's like if people just called it what it was, evil, and you know, especially because racism is very, unless somebody says I don't like you because you're black, or I don't like you because
But
you're
even
white.
that is just evil.
It's still like a person saying, what do you call then? What do you call if you call someone fat? You're like, you're fat, fatty. Is that fatsist? No, that's
Exactly.
evil, hateful. You know, saying something that's going to hurt someone else.
And I get the temptation to want to use that word, but that's what, like I said, my realization, I think Trevor's on the same boat with that, is that you can't play that game. That word is a communist word to begin with. It was invented by communists to shame people like they're doing now. So don't play the game. Don't use their magic words. It's nonsense. Let them throw labels at you, but you know it's not going to stick because it's not you. And if you entertain it, it's just like he said as an example, call a kid a butthead, and then you end up becoming the butthead because you sit there trying to defend it like, no, I'm not a butthead. You just wasted your energy.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, like, the sin is playing God. And, you know, I'm not a Bible thumper, but I know that there's nothing in the Bible that mentions racism. You know? It's good or evil, it's right or wrong. And, you know, people do discriminate. But you can't force people not to. It's just what people do. It's human nature to pick and choose, have preferences. You know, people might want to date a certain person. Are they being racist? No, they're discriminating. And people have the right to discriminate.
Discrimination is a good thing. It has no negative meaning.
What it means is that you live your life and you move on and you find the people that resonate with you. You know what I'm saying?
We discriminate by what kind of coffee I want to drink. I'm discriminating.
Exactly.
But the world convinced you that that word means racist. That's exactly what they've done. Prejudice and discrimination now are tied to racist, this magic spell word. And they're going to try and attach all these other words to that spell word. Don't buy it. You gotta not play that game.
And especially when they're not saying everyone can be racist. They're saying only white people can be racist, and that it's in the system. Like that story I told before. Like I had this big gig playing with a big artist, and I played for a few months and toured, and I got a call from the musical director later and said, "Hey man, you're doing a great job. You know, you haven't done anything wrong, but you know, we want to go with a black musician because it'll look cooler." Is that racism? Why wasn't I like crying and being like, hey, you know, I was discriminated against or whatever? I actually got it at the time. I'm like, I get it. This is entertainment industry. You know, you have a right to want to portray yourselves whatever way you want to look at.
Yeah, I got a job because I was white, because the office was overwhelmingly Hispanic, and they just purely picked it based on my name. They read my name because I had my father's last name, which is Germanic, and they saw that, they're like, oh, that sounds like a white guy. We need a white guy because we have too much color here. And that's what they told me when they hired me. They're like, yeah, we needed to have white people because we didn't want it to look like it was just all Hispanics working there. And lo and behold, I'm mixed, but it doesn't matter. But it just shows you.
Because at the end of the day, even if it's like, oh, that sucks, at the end of the day, it's better that it sucks than it is to try to take people's freedoms away from doing things that they want to do. Like, you know, if you're a big time celebrity and you want your band or whatever to come across a certain way and have a certain look because you have a vision, like, I get it, man. All right, that's cool. I never made a stink about it. I never told anybody about it. I only bring it up now because people try to tell me that only, you know, that I need to feel sorry for them and that only, you know, white people can be racist. And I'm like, well, wait a second. For years, like over 10 years, I've been the one or two white guys in the room, you know, and I've been, like I said earlier, I was like, hey, what's up, white boy? Oh, you're the singing white boy, like I've been, you know, treated differently because I can sing and because I'm white and I hang out with all kinds of people. But I don't take it personal. And if it was the other way around, it would be racism.
Exactly.
But
it's all
because
lies.
because I also am not a sensitive type of person where I'm going to take offense to it. And people need to get over being so sensitive. And you know, like, because I could sense the spirit in people. When people are like, "What's up, white boy?" Like, I'm not going to get irked and upset about that because I don't care.
Yeah, like my catchphrase, less yapping, more sandwiches. If there's women out there who get upset by that, the problem is you, my friend. Because
don't know how to make sandwiches.
There's plenty of women in this chat, there's plenty of women that I know who understand what that means, and even if they don't agree with it, they certainly don't get in their feelings about it. But that's how you expose the hate in people. And they don't really love anybody. They don't know what love is if they get bothered by words.
Control is not love.
Exactly. So you know what? Who cares what people say? As long as you're not coming from love, you know, let it be. Less yapping, more sandwiches. You know, so c'est la vie.
But yeah, at the end of the day, the moral of the story is words should not have any power over our peace inside. You know, words do not dictate how I feel.
Zeke Deputy says it. I'm a musician in my town. Growing up, all the good gigs were taken by blacks. I didn't hate it. I just joined the band.
I mean, exactly, bro. And I had somebody on Facebook today try and tell me that you know, he was trying to argue for victim status. Like, well, this happens more than it happens to white people. He said something about that when you sing R&B and jazz music as a white person, you know, you get hired more because they want to have, you know, a bigger audience. In my experience, the blacks had way bigger audiences. The blacks had way more crowds, and that's bull crap.
They're kind of
I
like,
don't see
look
that
at the
many.
Grammy
I do
Awards.
not see that many white people in LA
Yeah.
gigging around town, doing gigs.
No, it's
Take a look at the
preferential
TVs.
treatment.
Look at TVs. Look at artists and see who's playing with all these people. That's a bunch of crap. I have eyes and I can see.
Exactly. Who's getting the preferential treatment? You know, it's all because people are pandering. It's not out of talent. It's not because they didn't earn it. Yeah, maybe they could sing, but that's not why they're getting it. They're getting it because of their skin color.
And because you know, most black people, especially these days, they have that herd mentality, like, oh, I want to support black businesses. I want to support other black people. You know, I have seen posts online all the time. They're like, oh, post your business if you have a black business so I can support it. So I know that the musical directors and people that are monopolizing the musician industries are hiring people specifically because they want to help their bros out.
Yeah, talk about systemic racism.
Exactly. I make my own music and put out my own records on iTunes and stuff like that. I don't get hired for gigs and jobs and stuff as a musician to play like by black people. You know, I don't. I mean, I have, and sometimes I do. You know, but at the end of the day, it's not the way it's being painted, man. And I have two eyes, I have common sense, and I can see it.
Yeah.
And I've had my own experiences. You know, because people will say because you're white, you can't dismiss the experiences I've had. And I'm not dismissing.
Morgan Freeman agrees with us, and so does Denzel Washington. You don't see those guys pandering to the mob.
I'm not dismiss. Actually, my experiences are actually being dismissed. If you want to talk about that, but they're like, oh, you know, you don't know, you're white. It's like, okay, well, in my life, I've experienced discrimination as well.
Yeah, and never forget
a lot.
Look at the real numbers. When you know Thomas again, the example of Thomas Sowell. There were more white slaves sent to northern Africa through Arab and Jewish and African slave traders than there were ever brought to America. More white slaves were captured and sold into slavery in Africa than there were ever brought to America. You know, and then the white slavery continued for decades past the Emancipation Proclamation. And we still have black slavery to this day in Libya. So like, get your head out of your butt and realize that your whole head is full of communist lies. And start from zero, because you know, like, none of the opinions that you grew up with were yours. I was brainwashed by the same stuff. I had to overcome that.
Right. And the problem really is that people's idea of love is just way off. Love is not this emotional feeling that makes you feel like you got butterflies all over. That's not. God is love, right? And God is the truth. God is the absence of hatred and anger. Love is the absence of hatred and anger. So I can't ride two horses at the same time. I'm not both sides of the coin. I can't have hatred. You know, I had someone tell me today that, oh, you can't be natural. You can, you know, getting angry and having hate is natural.
Yeah.
No, it's not. And speak for yourself. It's not in my nature. You know, I don't have that. I can still not accept wrongs as right. I can still fight against certain things. It doesn't mean that I have to have hatred and anger inside.
Yeah, if these leftists believe that racism is hatred and it's evil, then how the hell can they sit there and advocate that it's okay to be hateful sometimes? You can't ride two horses at once. It's who are you serving? Who is your master? Which one?
And these angry people, especially ones that expose themselves and say that think that anger and hatred is natural, those are the ones I'm steering clear from, and I'm thankful that they are revealed. Because I'm like, all right, it totally makes sense because I recognize that spirit, and I'm glad you can admit it. But the fact that they can't see that that's wrong, they think that it's justified because that ego tries to tell you all these reasons is, well, you know, you have the right and all this stuff to feel this way.
Yeah.
And no, you don't. You're going to keep suffering in that. So that's why Jesse says suffer and die. Because, you know, no one's going to save you from your own spirit and anger and hatred that you have inside that's going to sabotage yourself.
Right. You can't find a good man. You keep thinking that the white man's holding you down. Well, then suffer because you are the source of your own problems.
Right.
You know, you're gonna end up like an old cat lady. You're gonna end up like like some of these old black comedians who just keep blaming white people why they were a third-rate comedian. Maybe it's because you didn't work on your jokes. Stop complaining so much and work on your craft.
Yeah, I mean that the same exactly. Like I'm not using any excuses and be like, oh, it's because I'm white and I'm in black entertainment, creating that kind of music or anything. No, I'm gonna work hard, and if I get what I deserve, you know.
Queen Butterfly says she agrees with you. Music is based on sound. It ain't black and it ain't a Hawaii thing.
Right. Thank you, Queen.
Quang.
Because at the end of the day, it's our prideful, ego that wants to take credit for stuff like that. Nobody invents anything. We all discover it together, and we get to enjoy it in our lives. So all this scorekeeping, it's so stupid to me. I just do not resonate with it. And people want so hard to try to convince me and intellectualize and compete and telling me, like who discovered what, who invented what, and then actually, no, black people invented peanut butter.
And that's a lie.
Okay, great. I don't care. Eat some peanut butter. Enjoy it. Like, great.
Yeah, just stop identifying with the group. Don't let the world. I mean, you just got to go back to square one. Like, people, it's amazing how many people. I just had a girl reach out yesterday, and she felt like all your stories that you share, I feel like you don't understand the black experience. And I was like, well, what questions do you have? And then she's
a black girl or a white girl?
She's a white girl, so
okay.
she's trying to defend.
So she understands the black experience.
Apparently, she understands the black experience.
So she gets to understand the white experience and the black experience.
Yeah,
she's
and,
privileged.
And then she tells me she starts with the same nonsense facts that were pumped into our heads as kids. So then I tell her, well, did you know that whites did not own the majority of slaves? They did not own the slave trade. That they were traded in higher numbers as slaves. They were the first slaves on this soil. Yada yada yada. And then in the face of all that data, she just still repeats her initial question because she's refusing to analyze the data.
I'm not listening. And why is it? You know what happened after the whites had slaves?
Yeah, they freed them.
They freed them, but no one cares about that.
Yeah, if it wasn't for white people, there would still be slavery. They were overwhelmingly opposed to it because guess what? They weren't the majority owners. It's a lie. Look into
it's the other white people that don't identify as white.
It's the fake white people. They wear a small hat, and it's not all. But you can see how they control the media, they control finance, and they also have.
There's a reason why certain white people don't want to acknowledge that they're white because they want to separate themselves so they can demonize them.
Exactly. It's all a game. And again, at the top of the structure, regardless of whether they wear a small hat or they have dark skin, the point is they all serve Satan. So don't get caught up in the blame game. But you gotta have eyes to see what's happening here. And you've been brainwashed. You
have been.
You! Well, I think unless there's one more caller, we're gonna wrap it up. So, ladies, if there's a lady in the chat who wants to talk, we had Shelly, or any of the guys, Zeke, Skills, Schmitty, 818-308-5559, 308-5559.
Is that your Mexican dance? Like a cholo. Like a cholo. Lean like a cholo. Schmitty.
Michael McDonald from the Doobie Brothers sounds black and has a better soul voice than a lot of black performers. Yeah. But what about that one guy? Never gonna give you up. Never gonna let you. He sounds like a black dude.
You know who I always thought was black, and I found out later that he was white. This guy, he sings. Guess you wonder where I've been.
I know that sounds like a
Bobby
black
Caldwell, he's white.
dude. Even his name sounds black.
Search and find the love within. Yeah, exactly. Listen to that song because there's either good music or bad music. I don't hear. Of course, certain people you can tell. I don't like hearing color when I hear stuff where I automatically think like, oh, that's a white guy. Oh, that's a black guy. I just like hearing music and being like, damn, that's dope. That's it. I don't think that way. But if I have to analyze and interpret, I'm like, yeah, they probably are. Or but there's ones that are like obviously blatant.
Oh, always. Queen Butterfly said it well. That's what they always do. They repeat like a broken record. I asked my friend why there's so much black on black crimes, and they have nothing to say about it.
Call from Annette.
Annette?
To accept, press 1. To send a voicemail, press 2.
Hello, hello. Who's this? Annette. How are you doing, Annette?
I'm doing well, thank you.
Amazing.
How about you guys?
I'm grateful I woke up today. I'm still alive, so thank God.
What's cracking? Well, speaking of a
That's
net,
right.
there's a gnat flying around that I have not killed yet. Who will die? He will be dead.
How y'all doing?
Doing good. Where are you from?
LA, all my life.
Oh no way! That's what's up. Me
Amazing.
here. Me here. Me too.
So how have you been
Neighbors.
doing with all this craziness in LA? Have you been close to any of the riots?
No, just keep watching it on live TV. Everything is real time.
Yeah. Stay safe. Stay away from it. It's not our fight. Just take care of yourself and your house.
Yeah. I was just wanting to share something because I was kind of something that chapped my hide. I don't know how that just popped up on my head, but I was kind of.
Something
You don't really
I had
chaps my
righteous
ass.
anger.
Something that really chafes my
Yeah.
you know.
Isn't that from Dumb and Dumber? You don't really chaps my ass. Go ahead.
Something that bothered me, but it's more like a righteous anger.
I know. I hear a lot of people
Righteous
say
anger,
that
right?
stuff, like righteous anger. It justifies you to be angry. When I used to feel like that too, like justified in my anger, and when I really found forgiveness and figured out why I was angry, I haven't been angry or annoyed anymore. I know that I don't. But go ahead.
Yeah, more like because what I'm seeing in the churches, one of the churches in their newsletters that I signed up for, and now that I see that they they call themselves apolitical Christian organization. They obviously don't get involved with politics or social issues. That's what it means. But they made a statement in the newsletter that they will not be silent because of the racism
Oh,
of
God.
George Floyd. And so I was kind of like, what is going on here? This is like
Hypocrisy.
yeah, definitely hypocrisy. That's what stuck to me. But this the denominational organization.
That really chaps my ass,
Yeah. So so I was just throwing it out there because now I'm seeing the hearts of the people, what they're about, because you don't speak up against anything else because obviously we just won't. But George Floyd, we won't. No, not racism, right? And it's like, okay, so now I see this organization, this denomination, this church claiming, to be apolitical because obviously they won't practice their freedom of speech, and speak out against any other issue, but about racism. So that's obviously they won't, they don't justify the part where people are looting and so on and so forth.
Right.
But you're putting your foot in your mouth by saying that. It seems like they're just shooting themselves in the foot intentionally. I don't know, or what's going on, because they're buying into that, and it's really like I don't attend church. Thank God I'm not in. God took me out of that yoke of slavery, because that's like being in bondage, like in the cult. People don't know it. But since I've tuned into Jesse and seeing what's really behind all that. So anyway.
Yeah.
But yeah. So
I didn't
just,
grow up. I went to different churches growing up. I didn't have a specific, belief system. It was like I grew up like spiritual. It was this church called Self-Realization Fellowship, which was more like a church of all religions, and it was about believing in God. But I never knew about the order of God, and finding Jesse like totally opened my eyes, because I totally understand what you mean by being turned off by, you know, religion, and so many people use it as pride and their ego to sound like they know better than you and that they're more holy than you and all kind of stuff, and so that turned me off. But now I can really see for myself. It's like music. It's like there's a specific order to music, and you can't just create harmony on accident. You have to stay within the boundaries to make harmony. And within life and family, it's the same thing. There's boundaries and order to have harmony.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad I got to experience being in something like that, and at the time, I'm glad that I was removed from it. And you know, it's true. You know, as far as you know, the discrimination or the, you know, how they treat you in the churches, it's showing outside now. It's not just left right there in the four walls of a building. It's more like exposure is outside. So it's like now you see it, right? Because it starts in the homes of the churches. The churches are not speaking up. And I also was kind of, you know, not bothered because now this church wants to open up. And they have all these regulations, down to the T, where they have someone from the COVID organization showing them how to disinfect and clean their churches, and they have this the safety team there that you need to obey because they have to take you to your assigned seating, and you know, all this other don't talk to another brethren, and you're staying right there in your pew unless you got to go to the restroom, and at that point you can't have so many people in there, and if somebody lays hands on you to pray for you, they need to go wash their hands and come back, and it's just, you know, it's all these, what's that? That's not fellowship, that's not church, that's you already bought into the government with whatever, you know, they tell you, and these are churches, you know, doing this. It's a shame, you know, and that's not a church.
Not a church at
You're
all.
falling for that.
Like all these people that they know you're right, and they claim to be so holy and all these things. Meanwhile, they're so angry and serving the lie, and they have hatred, and it's like it's that righteous anger, like you said, you know.
And the things that I'm hearing, you know, because now, you know, the churches are online, I critique them so badly because, don't forget to give to God's financial plan.
Right.
I'm like, I didn't know he was poor.
Exactly.
It's just little things that just like, okay, do you know what you're saying? Do you know that I'm not going to let you live that down? Anything you do, I'm not going to, with these times that we're living, I'm not going to let you live that down. This is going to carry on for the rest, you know, unless you know, admit that what you did was wrong, because obviously everybody, they don't realize what they're doing, and later on they're going to pay the price because, you know, you see what they're about. You know, that's fear.
For sure. I agree.
Annette, do you go to Bond?
I started going in I want to say September of not going, but tuning in and listening in. So I got to visit a couple of times that I went to church. As a matter of fact, I got to meet you, not necessarily meet you, but I got to see you in person. You were sitting behind us when I went to church 2 weeks ago. My family, my son.
Is your husband
my
your husband the street preacher?
Huh?
Is that your husband?
Yeah, and my daughter was
amazing.
there for the first time.
Oh, yeah, I remember you.
Yeah.
Huh?
That was amazing. How's it? Yeah, your daughter. That was a really amazing moment for people to see, because that's exactly what makes that church so special. Is that, you know, you have to have those moments, and it's not a judgment on you as a mother. It's not a judgment on him or your daughter. It's just about that we need to be honest with each other, and through that honesty and observing together and fellowshipping that honesty, that's how we can all realize, man, like we have the same spiritual struggle.
Yeah, it's amazing because I'm the one that had the heartache before the whole forgiving part and realizing what was happening in my marriage and stuff, and then I got to experience that with my daughter. So that, because we were having little like bumping heads, like we weren't really bonding like she said, and so I'm glad that caused us to realize that what was what was in the way of us you know, it was more like, I don't know how to explain it, like like something that came in between us.
Yeah, there's like a wedge or a barrier. I understand.
Yeah.
But you know that that's something different about Jesse's church is I think that the majority of people that come there, it's like they've been through many different churches and different things, and they really wanna they resonate with Jesse online first, and so by the time they end up going to church, they've already resonated with that truth, and that it's real seeking of truth as opposed to that like religious like like in the name.
Yeah,
Like a lot of
outwardly knowing the rituals and the passages.
It's more than just going to church on Sunday so that you can look, repent on your sins for the week.
Yeah.
And repeating stuff like
and the
don't
way,
be a Bible thumper.
Yeah, the way I was able to wrap my head around it was when you come to the person in the natural, it could lead to something spiritual, but we need to deal with what's going on in the natural sense, and that really helped me to move forward with everything. So into it, be accepting of it, because some people might say, oh, it's quoting scriptures,
Yeah, I mean, kind of
they can,
part of the reason, like, why I love watching, and I love that you guys are so open at church, and your husband's willing to observe and kind of share his story, because I have family like that. I have family who were they were overly too much into the church. They did nothing but quote passages and hoop and holler and get loud, and all it did was just push me away, and it pushed my cousins away, and it made the kids resent the parents, because you can clearly see that the parents are not perfect, and yet they're just giving you passage after passage about how you got to be perfect, and it's the same hypocrisy. We see it in our own parents. And that's why, I love that you guys are open about that, because that's what we're there for, is that we don't want to be hypocrites anymore. We want to live it. We want to be it.
And then not only that, we're able to, like, I use those little techniques to share with other people that, are part of our lives. And, if they're in my home, and I'm going to just, be honest and ask them those kind of questions. And then, they don't necessarily have to answer, but I know where to go get to the root of it if anything's going on. And most likely things are always happening, in the family, that, people struggle with, and this is something that we can, try to, make some sense of stuff, and make them overcome it. And it all has to do with getting the unforgiveness out, and then having peace, taking the anger first of all, right? Taking the anger away, and then forgiving, and
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool that I get to share that with people that are open to it and allow me to help to share that.
And it helps give
and
other
it
people
happen.
courage. It gives other people courage too, because like talking and being open about that is an example. That is the example of seeing that, I wouldn't say vulnerability, but more so the
honesty.
The honesty, and it's okay, because most people are afraid to be judged, so they'll lie, or they won't talk about certain things.
Yeah, they want to make a mistake, especially some parents in front of their kids. Like, there's been plenty of parents who come to church, but they have so much pride that they don't come back because they refuse to admit that they screwed up their child, and it doesn't help the kid. And when you guys are honest like that, it does something for all the other kids in that, because we're all children of somebody. So to hear that, it can be powerful, so everyone else can relate and be like, man, I wish my mom would say that. I wish my dad would just shut up and listen and realize that he wasn't perfect.
That's true. But I really like the fact that we know what our role is in our lives, as far as being a female. My husband knows he's a male, and he's the head, he's a leader, and I'm accepting of that, and I'm thankful for that, because I see that the women will not let go of the control, and that's the sad part, they will not let go, and so that's what we're living or dealing with these days that we're living in, right? The women are the ones that need to, step down, and it's not easy for them for some reason. And my mom was like that, and I thought maybe I was like that before, but I refused to be have a hold on my children so that they could move and they could succeed and be at peace. Why would I want to think that they owe me or just because I'm their mom or whatever, and they have to be controlled by me. That's wrong. There's just no way. I wouldn't do that to my children. I want them to, if they see me, I want them to see a strong woman, not a weak person.
No such thing as a strong woman.
Show me a strong woman, I'll show you a weak man.
Well, meaning not like weak. Yeah, not like
no, I know.
weak. Like I can't encourage them because I don't love myself or respect myself. I'm not necessarily a strong woman, but
I know, like an upright woman, a woman who's living upright and knows plays her role.
No, it's just a woman, man. Because there's a female and there's a woman, and there's a difference between a female and a woman.
Have you since you're
like I'm not driven by my emotions and my feelings. Oh, woe is me. Oh, poor. That's not what I want to portray to no one.
Since the last Sunday, Annette, have you and your daughter gotten closer? Has she forgiven you? Have you apologized for damaging her?
I did. We did hug at the nature. I'm very open to, there's, how could I say, like I changed a lot enough to not, to be open about things and something like that if it's bothering her. So we did talk, like a little bit. Well, we hugged each other after church, but then before we went and walked into our home, because my husband, I don't want him to be around. I wanted to just be between her and I.
Right.
And so I did talk to her. We hugged again, and she said, "I know, Mom. I know, Mom." And she, I asked her, to forgive me because I know what I got into when I married your father, and he wasn't, I was, he wasn't thinking straight. So obviously,
You couldn't help it, that with women.
Yeah.
Women will they want a strong man, but they'll take a weak one so they can control him. And it's okay.
That's what happened.
It's the truth.
I don't know, but okay. Yeah.
But that's good. I'm glad, and I hope you guys keep coming back.
Yeah, I have a good time, but I can't speak for my daughter, but hopefully she'll come back.
Hopefully, I think she will like it. She'll find her courage again.
Yeah, that's true. Awesome. But anyways, I like what you guys are doing. I like Trevor's music. It's awesome.
Oh, I appreciate it.
I was looking online. I saw some of his CDs or something, but it's beautiful.
I appreciate
music.
it. Thanks for checking it out.
I don't know what's the genre or whatever would you call it? What kind of music or?
Oh, his genre?
The genre? I don't know. That's the thing. I don't know. It's like, what ethnicity are you? It's like, I'm American. It's just, I guess, whatever kind of music you either like it or you don't.
According to his haters, they would call him the soul.
I like jazz. It's just a combination of everything that I love. I like jazz and soulful music and pop music and all kinds of stuff. It's just I just make the music that I like to make, and that's it.
Yeah, it's really nice listening to. Like it's like a calm and it's easy to it's not like I don't think you could dance to it. I don't know.
It's funny because there's one song that actually became popular because of a dance someone made to it, and it's not like your typical dance song, but it's interesting that you could dance to anything if you find the rhythms in it.
Is that Chivalry?
Chivalry is Dead, yeah.
Yeah, that song blew up, and there's a lot of choreographers who use it for their routines.
Yeah, there's a lot of dance stuff to it. It's interesting, and you check it out on YouTube and
or surf that hashtag Chivalry is Dead.
Yeah, there's some dance moves.
Oh, okay, cool.
But I appreciate you. Thank you.
I can shake my rump. No, I'm just kidding.
All glory to God. All I did was arrange what you created.
That's right. But
amazing.
That's awesome. Thanks for what you guys do. It's awesome. I've been tuning in, like I said, the last couple of nights, and it's pretty cool. But I'm kind of busy too. But it's I try to get my husband. We gotta listen. It's pretty cool. I like all the topics, everything is being addressed. It's just like eye-opening. It's what's happening now. It's an extension of what Jesse's doing. So it's pretty awesome. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it, and hopefully
see you at church. Hopefully Sunday.
We'll see you soon.
Yeah, that'll be cool. Thanks.
Okay.
Have a good night.
All right.
All right.
Girl, bye.
Girl, bye.
Well, I think we're gonna wrap it with that. Any closing statements, Sir Wesley?
I don't know,
Trevor,
I mean, I
Wesley?
started it off thinking about, being insensitive and what does that mean, and identity and stuff like that. And at the end of the day, it's just a reminder, man, to myself and to other people. And it's not about telling people to not be insensitive. It's about not being so sensitive. Stop trying to control your environment and control how you deal with your environment. There's no problems, only situations, and we can overcome anything. And if someone else does or says creates conflict within yourself, that's something that's going on inside you. It has nothing to do with anything anyone else did, because you can't control what other people do. Control is evil, and freedom is the way it is. And you become powerful in your own life and get that strength from God when you're able to overcome anything and not be affected. It's like you have this shield around you, and there's nothing anybody can say or do that, of course you're going to protect your family and yourself and everything physically and all that stuff, but no words have power. And the identity thing is like, I don't have an identity, like I'm not music. I am not, my heritage of being Irish. My soul is an extension of God. That's it. That's my identity, and I don't have, I don't have to accept the worldly, imposing that the world does to try to make me, my ego, think, that I am anything important or special, and it doesn't mean that I'm, insecure or self-conscious about anything. I'm not. I used to be afraid to be confident because I thought people would think that I had a big ego or something. So it was like that too humble ego, and looking back, it's like, at the end of the day, just speak the truth and don't look back and be present. That's where God is. So.
Yeah, and I'd say, my little catchphrase of, less yapping, more sandwiches, it actually stems from some of the initial advice I gave myself and some of my friends that I met at Bond. Danny, who's got, one child and a second one on the way. And it was some advice that really helped him, and it just let me know that it was the right way to go, because when you're in that fallen state, your mind's racing, and that usually translates to your mouth racing, and it just clouds your judgment, and it keeps you in your thoughts, and it keeps you in hypotheticals. So it comes from a place of love. We should all, less yapping, talk less, observe more, and then play the role. So for the woman, the whole sandwich thing is that she plays the mother, the helpmate, the caregiver for the children, and the helpmate for the husband. And then the men need to, less yapping, more work. Go build the home, build the homestead, grow your food. Go out there and earn that money and build that house, get that log cabin for her. So, just try and, listen a lot more, observe more, and be still.
And something to tie in what I said and what he said is, if you hear less yapping, more sandwiches, and that creates conflict within yourself, notice that. And be like, whoa, why does that affect me, and why am I offended? And nothing anybody says, even if it's, where's my sandwiches, that doesn't matter. It's just words, and it doesn't mean anything. It only means what you make it mean.
Amen. Thank you, guys. Thank you for all the super chats, all our moderators.
Yeah, thank you, guys.
Schmitty, Queen Butterfly, everybody, Shelly, all the callers. Great night. Trevor will take you out.
Pros and cons. Stupid gnat. The world blames dad when it's really your mom.
Good night, everybody.